A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Let up and light up a Camel. Smokers find that Camel's costlier tobaccos are soothing to the nerves. Here comes the Camel Caravan with Benny Goodman and the world's greatest swing band, the Goodman Trio, Martha Tilton, and songwriter Johnny Mercer, who was initiated here in the clubhouse last week. So gather round, swing fans from coast to coast. It's meeting time. And while you're swinging out with Benny Goodman, we'd like to say just a word of thanks to you smokers who've made this show possible. You are the final judges of tobacco quality, and you've made Camel the largest selling cigarette in the world. So thanks, folks, and let up and light up a Camel. And here's your president, Benny Goodman.
Thank you, Secretary Seymour. You know, club members, I've said thank you, Secretary Seymour, many times in the past. Well, after tonight's broadcast, Dan's term of office comes to an end. As our secretary, he has kept the meetings in good order, and we're really sorry to see him go, and we're going to miss him. So I'm sure that club members all over the country will be joining us every time we say, thank you, Dan Seymour.
Well, thank you, President Goodman. But right now, I'm sure all club members all over the country will be glad to hear that meeting swings to order as Benny and the band swing into that ever-young 10-year-old Sweet Sue.
Last week, we initiated a new club member from Hollywood, Johnny Mercer, author of such great songs as You Must Have Been a Beautiful Baby and Jeepers Creepers. He also wrote the lyrics of some real swing tunes, the Dixieland Band, Fare thee well to Harlem and the girlfriend of the whirling derby.
Hey, wait a minute, Benny.
Well, what is it, Johnny?
Well, I wish you wouldn't give me such a build-up. It makes me self-conscious.
It does, huh? Well, here's something that will make you proud. The inner circle of club members have decided to make you vice president of the club.
You mean I'll have a title?
Yes, from now on, you'll be known as VP in charge of MIPU.
What?
MIPU.
Say, Benny, you're getting self-conscious now.
Well, let me explain. VP in charge of MIPU means vice president in charge of musical instrument picking up. How do you like it?
Well, I'd rather be vice president in charge of Martha Tilton.
Well, Martha, what do you say to that?
Could be.
Why, that's a music cue.
It's not only a music cue, it's also the title of the very newest song written by our own Johnny Mercer. So, Johnny, for a verse and two choruses, you could be VP in charge of Martha T. I'll join you later, say, in the third chorus.
We can hardly wait, Gate.
Could be that yellow moon is just a big balloon and not that yellow moon above.
Could be that angel face is something out of space and not that angel face I love.
Oh, could be this heart of mine is just a valentine and not this heart of mine at all.
Could be a dream I see, but if you're asking me, could be I'm in love, could be.
Could be that starry sky was painted by some guy and not that starry sky we knew.
Could be that kiss I stole was just a Tootsie Roll and not that kiss I stole from you.
Could be the things you said were in the book I read and not the things you said to me.
Oh, could be I'm in a trance,
but then there's just a chance.
Could be I'm in love, could be. Here's the third chorus, Benny. You ready?
That's quite a pretty thing. I mean the way you sing. But we get paid to swing.
Oh, could be.
Must be. You members get all set to hear a swing quartet. Then comes the love duet.
Shouldn't happen?
Can happen here, John.
Well, all right.
Leave all that moon and June for someone else to groom. 'Cause we can't play a tune that way.
Okay.
Listen here, Mr. M. You wrote it. I'll agree. But if you're asking me, this is how the tune could be.
Dear friends of radio, in case you want to know, what you heard was called.
What you just heard was called.
Could be. Every time you and I sing, Benny, I feel sure we've got something. Something great in our throats just longing to come out.
Yeah, our tonsils.
Could be, could be. Here's the Goodman Trio blending their own swing arrangement of a lovely melody, softly as in a morning sunrise. Tell me, President Goodman, what's this I see in the order of proceedings? Graduation ceremonies.
That, Johnny Mercer, is an event that makes us very proud here in the club. One of our most worthy fellow members is starting out on his own in a couple of weeks, and we all wish him the best of luck. It's our trumpet player, Harry James. Take a bow, Harry.
So Harry's going out to blow his own horn. I presume he graduates magna cum laude, and I mean louder and louder. How long has Harry been captain of the trumpet team, President Goodman?
Oh, for more than 2 years. And he's always been one of our star players. And now, like our brilliant alumnus of last year, Gene Krupa, Harry is going to start a band of his own. He tells me the theme song at his branch meetings of swing fans will be Cheery Beery Bin.
I'd like to hear that.
Okay, Harry, give them the cue for the theme of what we know will be a great band.
representative of the Ladies' Auxiliary, Martha Tilton, returns to the platform with one of your current favorites, I Have Eyes.
I have eyes to see with, but they see only you. For you have eyes that put the very stars to shame. I have lips to sigh with, what else am I to do? when you have lips that fill my very soul with flame. Tonight you're near to me in a light bright as day, but still you're dear to me. I can see you even miles away. I have eyes to see with, but yet when we're apart, I close my eyes and see with my heart.
Martha, if I could only make a date with you on the veranda of the clubhouse after the broadcast, I'll try to tell you how much I like that.
My, Johnny Mercer, you're an awfully fast worker for a vice president.
And you forget, Mr. VP, after the broadcast, you're in charge of picking up musical instruments.
Well, I was wondering, President Goodman, whether I couldn't be demoted.
Did you say demoted?
Yes, demoted from vice president to, say, treasurer. You know, collecting dues and fines, and, well, don't you think there might be more in it for me?
I see. Johnny Mercenary.
Woo! If I were treasurer, that pun would cost you plenty.
Of course, now that Dan Seymour is leaving us, we will have to elect a new secretary for club meetings.
Well, then I could be secretary-treasurer.
Oh, here, not so fast, Johnny. You have a lot to learn first. Can you, for instance, recite the club motto?
President Goodman will keep members informed of what's new and good, period.
That's what it says. And here's how it works. We were at a branch meeting of swing fans the other night, and we heard a guitar player named Leonard Ware. He was doing things with an electric guitar that we thought club members ought to hear.
Well, I wonder if everyone knows what a swing electric guitar sounds like, Benny.
Well, Leonard will be glad to demonstrate. Can we hear a few bars, Mr. Ware?
And this is where the Goodman Quartet makes magic. A lightning transformation. 1 minute you have Lionel Hampton, Teddy Wilson, Buddy Schutz, and Benny Goodman. They add Al Hall on bass and Leonard Ware's electric guitar. Presto, changeo, not a quartet, but a sextet. And abracadabra, they play Umbrella Man not as a waltz, but a foxtrot.
Say, Benny, before I leave, I want to hand over to Johnny Mercer that special file of ours. The letters from the Hot Clubs of America electing you, Benny, their honorary president.
Well, thank you, Dan Seymour.
Johnny, suppose you tell the Hot Clubs what we've got for them this week.
Benny, I heard you rehearse it, and it cannot be described, except that the title is, I Sent for You Yesterday, and Here You Come Today. If you hear anybody singing about halfway through, it'll be me. Aside from that, it is a killer.
Here it is, Hot Clubs of America, your president, Benny Goodman, and the band in this week's special, I Sent for You Yesterday, and Here You Come Today. During the proceedings, Johnny Mercer will oblige with a slight aria.
Shining through the trees. Don't the moon look lonesome shining through the trees? Don't your arms look lonesome when your baby's packed to leave? Sent for you yesterday, yeah, you come today. Sent for you yesterday, yeah, you come today. If you can't do better, might as well just stay away.
Thank you. I guess we'll have to bring that one up for review again sometime. This is Benny Goodman saying so long, club members. Hope you'll all turn out for the meeting next week. We've given Johnny Mercer a passkey to the clubhouse and told him to let himself in every Tuesday. Until then, good night for Campbell and all the gang.
And good night for me, too, Johnny Mercer. Here's where I start my new job, musical instrument picking up. And from the looks of things around here, it'll take me until next Tuesday to get the place in order.
Well, get to work, Johnny, and good night, Benny. Remember, you've all got a date next Tuesday night with Benny Goodman and the world's greatest swing band, the Goodman Trio and Quartet, Martha Tilton, and Johnny Mercer. Next Monday night over these same stations, Eddie Cantor's Camel Caravan rolls in. Eddie's special guest is Boris Karloff, so make it a Monday night date, too. I Have Eyes is from Paris Honeymoon. This is Dan Seymour speaking. So long, gang. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The makers of Campbell Soup present the Campbell Playhouse. Orson Welles, producer.
Good evening. This is Orson Welles. Tonight we take you to Shangri-La in the Valley of the Blue Moon. You may not believe this story, but ladies and gentlemen, remember please that ever since the human race was articulate, men have returned with tales of such a place as Shangri-La. Usually they've been laughed at. Always they've been doubted, but never yet been proved that their stories were untrue. And so tonight we bring you James Hilton's Lost Horizon, and as our guest of the evening, Miss Sigrid Gurry. But before our story begins, before we move on into the future, as embodied in the earthly paradise of Shangri-La, Ernest Chappell invited us to hark back for just a moment to an occasion or two, and here he is.
An occasion or two, ladies and gentlemen, when dinner and the choice of a main dinner dish were especially important. Perhaps it was a birthday celebration or a wedding anniversary, and you were eating out. Together, you consulted the menu, looked up, and...
Well, dear, this is your occasion. What looks good to you?
Let's have chicken, shall we?
Sounds good to me. Oh, here's our waiter now.
And then when important company was coming to dinner at your house...
But what shall we have for dinner, darling?
I say let's have chicken. That's something everybody likes.
Let's have chicken. Haven't you said those very words yourself many and many a time when you wanted to enjoy or to serve an especially fine dinner? I'll wager you have, because there's no disputing the fact that just about all of us do have an exceptional liking for chicken in one form or another. And I think it must be this general liking for chicken that accounts for the constantly growing popularity of Campbell's chicken soup. Every golden drop of this chicken soup brims with rich chicken flavor. Steeped in the taste of chicken, too, is the fluffy white rice Campbell's measure into this homey, old-fashioned chicken soup. And you'll enjoy pieces of tender chicken meat in every fragrant plateful. Have it soon, won't you? Perhaps tomorrow. I promise you, just as sure as you like chicken, you like Campbell's chicken soup. And now, Orson Welles in James Hilton's Lost Horizon with Sigrid Gurry.
I say, Sanders, did you ever know a chap named Conway?
You mean Glory Conway? Oh, yes, of course I do. Remember him very well. Wonderful fellow.
He was. Our civilization doesn't breed people like that nowadays. Remember the uprising at Boswell?
Summer before last. Yes, I remember.
They sent Conway up there, to take over.
That's right. And there was a wild yarn going about, wasn't there? But one of the planes that went out never came back.
Yes, the plane did disappear. There were 4 people in it. Conway and 3 others. I can only tell you the story as he told it to me. I don't ask you to believe it. I wouldn't believe it myself, except for one small fact. There were 4 of them in that plane. There was Conway. There was Melanson, his assistant, just a youngster, but he'd come to be quite fond of him during the 6 months they'd worked together at Boswell. And 2 others he didn't know. Miss Brinslow, a missionary, and an American named Barnard. Conway said he was dog-tired. All he wanted to do was sleep. As a matter of fact, they were hardly off the ground, he said, before he was dozing off. And he doesn't know exactly, but he thinks they must have slept for several hours.
Conway! Conway! Conway, look, there's a break in the clouds. Conway! Conway, where are we?
I don't know, man.
Hey, what is it? Something wrong?
I think we're way off our route, Mr. Barnard.
Off our route? We're being kidnapped.
Yes. I've been thinking for some time, Miss Conway, that something was wrong.
Well, I'll be darned. What's he doing it for?
They'll be shooting us.
Yes, there aren't any flies sitting around here. We're far off the frontier country by now. Oh, it's pretty insurrection by morning. If the gas holds out. Why, nobody but a lunatic would fly into this sort of country. Yeah, nobody but a darn fine airman could.
What's wrong? What's happening?
Most of them are lighting up. That's the land.
How the fellow can see the land and pitch blackness, I don't know.
Well, at any rate, I'm glad it won't.
Conway, he's going to crack up. Well, here we go.
Rotten landing, rotten.
Oh. Cracked up his left wing. Well, we're at the state where we are now. That's certain. Come on, Conway. I'm going forward.
Melanson.
I must scare this fellow on land wherever he is. I'm going to tackle him right away. Go after him from the outside. It's the end of the world.
Better stop him, Conway, before he does something foolish. Yes. Melanson.
Melanson, come back. Melanson! Melanson! Conway.
Queer. I think the pilot's dead. He's all doubled up over his panel. All right, come on. Let's get him out of the cockpit and the open.
Right. Now, lay him down here.
Let's have a look at him. Strike a match, will you, somebody?
Here. No use in this wind.
His heart's very faint. Hey, this isn't our pilot. He's Chinese. Be quiet, Wellington.
Well, I can't help it. We look like fools standing about striking matches over a corpse. This isn't much of a beauty, is it?
Look, he's coming through.
I feel so smoking. Wait.
Can you understand him, Conway? How are you?
Shangri-La.
Well, what's the matter, Conway? He's dead.
Could you understand anything he said?
Very little. If they're in Tibet, it is obvious. And I gather there's a place near here, along the valley. Some sort of monastery, it sounds like. We can get food and shelter there. He kept saying we must go there. He said his name. It was Shangri-La. I shall never forget Conway's vivid description of that lonely place. It was like a vast emptiness, he said, with mountains on every side. Mountains rising on top of mountains. There was a range of them gleaming on the far horizon like a row of dove teeth. But it was the wind, I think, that impressed him most. Not an ordinary wind, not even a strong wind or a cold wind. A sort of frenzy that lived all round us. That's how I felt it. And all through the night, he watched. At dawn, the wind dropped. And in the lessening gloom, the valley took shape. A floor of rock and shingle sloping upwards. And then, suddenly in the distance, he saw climbing down the steep incline of the mountain, coming towards him, a party of men. Tibetans, they looked like. There were a dozen or more, carrying with them a hooded chair. In this sat a figure, an elderly Chinese, gray-haired, clean-shaven, robed in an embroidered gown of rich blue silk.
My name is Chung. We have with us food and wine. Would you will honor me by accepting our slight hospitality? After that, we can start. Our journey is long and somewhat difficult.
If we could borrow a couple of your men for guides and some stores, I think we can get along all right by ourselves.
I'm afraid that would be quite impossible. I regret that it will be necessary for you to return with me to the lamasery.
The lamasery?
Yes. I shall try to arrange for guides for you there.
I'm sorry, we must intrude on your hospitality this way.
We are always delighted to receive guests from the outside.
Well, we won't be there long, I promise you that. And we'll pay for everything we have. We'll pay for our journey and our guide back. We want to return to civilization as soon as possible.
My dear sir, are you so very certain that you are away from it?
From the plateau to the lamasery, it took them 10 hours. It was bitterly cold. At one time, they were forced to rope themselves together. Conway seemed very pleased, but here at least he was of some use. He'd done a lot of mountain climbing in the Swiss Alps and knew all the tricks. And then, very late in the afternoon, without warning, Conway said, they stepped out onto level ground. Out of that mist and cold into clear, sunny air. Far below them, under the setting sun, was the lamasery. A group of colored pavilions clinging to the mountainside with the chance delicacy of flower petals impaled upon a crag. That's how he described it. And beyond that, in a dazzling pyramid, shimmering against the deep electric blue of the evening sky, was the most beautiful mountain on earth. It was so radiant, so serenely poised, that for a moment he wondered if it was real at all.
There is our valley, and there is our lamasery. It is called Shangri-La. hope our simple dinner has pleased you, Mr. Barnard.
Well, I've been around a lot, Mr. Chang, but I've never tasted food like this. I've never seen anything like this place. Bathtubs from Akron, Ohio, steam heating. Lord, what haven't you got?
You see, here at Shangri-La, we are less barbarian than you expected. We have a rather complete library for a monastery, a certain of our art pleasures.
That girl up there sings. I've never heard 17th century music played so well.
She's charming. Who is she? Her name is Lucenne. She has much skill with Western keyboard music.
Why, the girl that's hardly more than a child.
How old is she?
I am afraid I cannot tell you.
Not giving away secrets about a lady's age, is that it?
Precisely.
Yes, well, that's all very interesting. But it's time we began to discuss plans of getting away, Mr. Chang.
I am sorry. I'm very, very sorry.
Well, surely you can do something. You have maps, I suppose?
Oh, yes, a great many.
Well, all right. I suppose you must have some communication with the outside world. How far is it to the nearest telegraph line? Well, where do you send to when you want anything civilized?
It is quite true, Mr. Malison, that from time to time we do require certain things from distant parts. And there is such a consignment expected shortly. Perhaps when the porters arrive.
When do they arrive?
The exact date is, of course, impossible to forecast.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll say no more then. Not tonight. But in the morning, I warn you that in the morning, I intend leaving. Good night.
I'm sorry my friend is upset tonight.
I, too, am sorry. You will none of you, I am sure, regret your sojourn with us in our little valley in the shadow of Caracal.
Caracal. Is that the name of that mountain we saw?
Yes. It is beautiful, is it not? And very tall. Over 28,000 feet. Caracal. In the valley tongue, Mr. Conway, Caracal means blue moon. Blue moon.
Stop, Mr. Conway.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you come in, Lucette.
You play very well.
Oh, no, not really. I lead a pretty busy life, and I don't get near a piano very often.
Please go on playing. If you don't, I shall have to go away.
Oh, but why?
It is not usual in the beginning that we talk to the guests.
But it's not forbidden.
No, but I'm not sure that John would approve. There are subjects we do not discuss, Mr. Conway, either with you or amongst ourselves.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your friend, Mr. Mallinson, is not so polite. He tries to make me talk.
Oh, you mustn't mind Mallinson. He means all right, but he's rather an excitable young man.
I don't think he's very happy here.
No, he's not at all happy.
It is sometimes very lonely.
Oh, well, he's young. That makes a difference.
Yes, it makes a great deal of difference.
Conway said that in that place it was difficult to estimate the passage of time. He said it must have been about a fortnight after they got to Shangri-La that John came to him one day with a message. The message was a summons from the High Lama. Together they went across the empty courtyard, then up a steep spiral staircase, and as they climbed, Conway said he was aware of a strange sensation, a dry, tingling warmth, as if all the windows were tightly closed and some kind of steam heating plant was working at full pressure. Then, finally, they were standing before a door which opened and closed again, and Conway found he was alone. He said he stood there for a moment, hesitant, breathing an atmosphere that was not only sultry but full of dust, so that it was several seconds before he could accustom himself to the gloom. Then, slowly, he became aware of a small, pale, and wrinkled person, motionlessly shadowed, like some fading antique portrait in the warm dusk. He felt dizzy under the gaze of those ancient eyes.
So, you are Mr. Conway.
I am.
It is a pleasure to see you, Mr. Conway. Please sit down beside me. I am an old man and can be no one any harm.
Oh, I feel it a signal honor to be received by you.
Thank you, my dear Conway. I shall call you that according to the English fashion. The gentleman tells me that you have been asking many questions about our community. It's a pleasure.
I'm certainly interested in you.
Then if you can spare me a little time, I shall be pleased to give you a brief account of our foundation. Tell me, my dear Conway, are you familiar with the general outline of Tibetan history?
I found in your excellent library some interesting annals of these regions, but curiously enough, nothing of the history of Shangri-La.
There is a reason for that, as you will see.
And in all the maps of this area, both ancient and modern, there is no mention of Caracal or the Valley of the Blue Moon.
That, too, is for a reason you will soon understand. The ancient history of Shangri-La is the history of a Catholic priest named Father Perrault. Before devoting himself to Far Eastern missions, Perrault had studied at Paris, Bologna, and other universities. He was something of a scholar. But he was not an ascetic. He enjoyed the good things of the world and was careful to teach his converts cooking as well as catechism. In the year 1719, Perrault set out from Pekin with 3 other Capuchin friars. They traveled southwest for many months, by Langchao and the Coconor, facing terrible hardship. The 3 others died on the way, and Father Perrault was not far from death, when, by accident, he stumbled into the rocky defile that remains today the only practical approach to the Valley of the Blue Moon. Perrault began to preach here in the year 1734, when he was 53 years of age. His was a full life, and he had accomplished much when in the year 1789 news descended to the valley that Perrault was dying at last. He lay in this room, my dear Conway, where he could see from the windows the white blur that was all his failing eyesight gave him of Caracal. But he could see with his mind also. His mind had straightened to a snow white calm. He was ready, willing, and glad to die. He gathered his friends and servants round him and bade them all farewell. Then he asked to be left alone a while. And it was during such a solitude, with his body sinking and his mind lifted to beatitude, that he had hoped to give up his soul. But it did not happen so. He lay for many weeks without speech or movement. And then, my dear Conway, he began to recover. He was then 108. When the last of the old monks died, in 1794, Perrault himself was still living. He was then 113 years of age. You will wish to know how he spent his time during those unprecedented years. You see, Father Perrault's attitude may be summed up by saying that as he had not died at a normal age, he began to feel that there was no discoverable reason why he either should or should not do so at any definite time in the future. Having already proved himself abnormal, it was as easy to believe that the abnormality might continue as to expect it to end at any moment.
I think I understand, Father.
Can you indeed? And can you understand anything else after this long and curious story of mine?
It seems impossible. Yet I can't help thinking of it. It's astonishing and extraordinary and quite incredible. And yet, not absolutely beyond my powers of belief.
What is, my son?
You are still alive. Father Thoreau.
You are listening to Orson Welles in the Campbell Playhouse presentation of Lost Horizons with Sigrid Gurry. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System. This is Ernest Chappell, ladies and gentlemen, welcoming you back to the Campbell Playhouse. In a moment, we shall resume our presentation of James Hilton's Lost Horizons. And in that moment, I'd like to take you back across the high plateau of Tibet, back from this strange corner of the world to the familiar surroundings of your own home, in order to remind you that more soup is eaten in December than in any other month of the year. There are a number of good reasons why December is the top soup-eating month, but of them all, I think these two are most important. First, December ushers in winter, and most mothers realize that good, hot soup in the winter diet not only nourishes and warms us pleasantly, but, served frequently, can help fortify us. Second, December is of all months the month of entertaining, of open house when relatives and friends drop in and gather at the table. And wise hostesses have learned that no dish can more quickly or more successfully transform even a simple meal, give it a festive holiday touch, than a well-chosen soup. Will soup be on your table frequently this month? And will you let Campbell's make this soup for you, as millions will? I know that whatever Campbell soups you may select, you'll be delighted to find the same full-flavored, nourishing soup that you would strive for in your own kitchen. And now, Orson Welles resumes our Campbell Playhouse presentation of Lost Horizons with Sigrid Gurry.
Another whiskey, Sanders? Thanks. They win. That'll do. Oh, it's getting awfully late. Never mind. Please go on. About Conway. Yes, it is quite a story, isn't it? You see, from the time Conway got to that monastery place to the night when he told me about it, nearly a year had passed. And heaven only knows what he'd been through. But the way he told his story, and the way he described it all, it was as though he were living it all over again. Every minute, every detail of it. I remember the tone of his voice as he spoke of the High Lama. I remember the silence, exactly as he described it. The silence between him and that ancient figure in that airless, half-lit room. It may have lasted but a second, or it seemed an hour, an eternity, as he sat there, staring at the ancient face of the High Lama. It was disembodied. It seemed to glow out of that yellow dust, like a fragment of an old parchment.
In the course of those next years, a few rare strangers found their way to the valley and were welcomed. A Chinese merchant found his way here in 1822. A Greek trader in 1830, and in 1845 a French musician, a pupil of Chopin. Later an Englishman, 2 Russians and a German. And night and day sentries kept constant watch on the entrance to the defile. And more than one party of explorers, glorying in their first distant glimpse of Caracal, encountered messengers bearing a cordial invitation. One that was rare they declined.
Just as we were greeted and welcomed?
Yes, my dear Conway. And of course, our invitation is subject to one very important and invariable proviso.
And that is? You intend to keep us here? That, I think, it is the important and invariable proviso.
You have guessed correctly, my son.
In other words, we are to stay at Shangri-La forever?
I should greatly prefer to employ your excellent English idiom and say that we are all here for good.
For good. Yes. What puzzles me is why, out of all the rest of the world's inhabitants, we 4 should have been chosen.
In recent years, our number has been shrinking. Even in Shangri-La, we are mortals. And a serious problem was beginning to arise.
What, you mean that pilot was sent out deliberately to bring someone back by air?
My son, you are still, I should say, a youngish man by the world standards. Your life, as people say, lies ahead of you. Yes, in the normal course, you might expect only 20 or 30 years of gradually diminishing activity. Youth and old age, between those two clouds, what small and narrow sunlight illumines a man's lifetime. But you, it may be, are destined to be more fortunate, since by the standards of Shangri-La, your sunlit years have scarcely yet begun. You will have time. Time, that rare and lovely gift that your Western countries have lost the more they have pursued it. You make no comment, my dear Conway.
I've been deeply impressed, Father Thoreau, as the things you've told me. I still don't entirely comprehend their significance.
Here in Shangri-La, my son, we have a dream and a vision. It is a vision that first appeared to me when I lay dying in this room in the year 1789. I looked back then on my long life, as I have already told you, and it seemed to me that all the loveliest things were transient and perishable, and that war, lust, and brutality might someday crush them until there were no more left in the world. I saw the nations strengthening, not in wisdom, but in vulgar passions and the will to destroy. And I perceived that when they had filled the land and sea with ruin, they would take to the air. I foresaw a time when men, exultant in the technique of homicide, would rage so hotly over the world that every precious thing would be in danger. Every book and picture and harmony, every treasure garnered through 2 millenniums, the small, the delicate, the defenseless, all would be lost like the lost books of Livy, or wrecked as the English wrecked the summer palace in Peking.
I share your opinion of that.
And that, my son, is why I am here, and why you are here, and why we may pray to outlive the doom that gathers around us on it.
That when that time comes, that Shangri-La will escape?
Perhaps. We may expect no mercy, but we may faintly hope for neglect. Here we shall stay with our books and our music and our meditation, conserving the frail elegancies of a dying age and seeking such wisdom as men will need when their passions are all spent. We have a heritage to cherish and bequeath. Let us take what pleasure we may until that time comes.
Yes. And then?
Then, my son, when the strong have devoured each other, the Christian ethic may at last be fulfilled, and the meek shall inherit the earth.
I believe there's a storm coming up. Somehow I never expected that here.
All right, I don't think it'll fetch us here in the valley.
Sure hate to be out there in that pass, though. That place is murder.
Well, we've all got to face it sooner or later. All four of us. Those four of us be here any day now. I don't imagine we'll have perfect weather all the way to India.
No, I don't think we will. That's one of the reasons why I think I'll let this first trip pass. There'll be other porters later.
You mean, sir, you're not coming with us?
That's it.
Well, I suppose your own affair that nobody can prevent you from stopping here for all your life. It's not what everybody would choose to do, but ideas differ. What do you say, Conway?
I agree. Ideas differ.
As a matter of fact, there's a very practical reason why I think I'll stay on. I don't know whether you people guessed it or not. It was not Barnard.
Not Barnard?
Never was. I'm Chalmers Bryant.
Chalmers Bryant? You don't mean that Wall Street fellow?
The international swindler?
That's me.
I had some friends in Woodstock that lost all they had through you.
I'm sorry.
Well, you certainly played fast and loose with a lot of other people's money.
And why? Because those same people all wanted something for nothing and hadn't the brains to get it for themselves.
That's nonsense.
I'll tell you another thing, too. There's gold in this valley. Tons of it. What's more, I've got permission to prospect it. Maybe I can give them tips on how to increase the output. Maybe even someday I'll have...
A common thief.
facing a life behind prison bars. No wonder he wants to stay here.
Well, I'm not facing a life behind prison bars, Mr. Ballinson. And I think I'll stay on, too.
What?
You, Miss Sprinkler?
Yes. I've done a lot of thinking the last few weeks, and my mind's made up. It's quite obvious that I have a call. This case is in urgent need of a mission. I'm strongly opposed to this doctrine of moderation. In my opinion, it's nothing but slackness and laxity. It's plain to me now that I've a lot of work to do here. A lot of work.
Thank you, Lieutenant. It was beautiful.
Mr. Conway, you have seen the High Lama.
Yes.
He told you everything.
What do you mean?
The story of Father Perot, of the Lama, of me.
The High Lama did not mention you, Lieutenant. He told me a great deal about the history of Shangri-La and the work he's doing.
And you found it interesting?
More than that. I was thinking just now as you played how much Shangri-La has come to mean to me. How much these hours here in the music room with you have come to mean.
Do the others feel like this, too?
I'm afraid not. But then, we're all of us different. For each of us, I dare say, Shangri-La holds a special meaning.
Except, I think, for Mr. Mellington. He will never be contented here, Mr. Conway. Never.
No, I suppose not.
He has no idea, then, of what the Lama has told you. You haven't told him.
Naturally not.
And you believe? You believe all that you've been told?
Well, I see no reason why the High Lama should lie to me.
No? No, of course not. Of course not.
John, have there been many who've tried to escape from Shangri-La?
Escape, Mr. Conway. Is that really the word that should be used? After all, the path is open to anyone at any time.
Yes.
I can only hope none of your friends would be so rash as to attempt so difficult a journey. There's Mr. Marrison. He's young, of course. But others, too. Lutsen, for instance, was young when she first came to us.
Was young?
Her carriers lost their way in the mountains. She was betrothed to a prince of Turkestan and was traveling to Kashgar to meet him. The whole party would doubtless have perished but for the customary meeting with our emissaries.
When did this happen?
1884. She was 18.
1884?
Yes. If you will forgive me a personal question, Mr. Conway, is it possible that you are falling in love with Lutsen?
What makes you ask that?
Because if it is so, it would be quite feasible. Always, of course, in moderation.
Even love, then, fits into your scheme of things.
The hospitality of Shangri-La is of a most comprehensive kind, Mr. Conway.
Yes, I think I quite realize that by now. Tell me, Mr. Giant, how old were you when you first came to Shangri-La?
I was quite young, only 22. I am now 104.
When did you first begin to grow old, in appearance?
I was over 70. That is often the case, though I think I may still claim to look younger than my years.
Oh, decidedly.
Thank you.
And suppose you were to leave the valley now. What would happen?
Death. If I remained away for more than a very few days. But even if I were fortunate enough not to die, I would immediately acquire the full appearance of my actual age.
The atmosphere, then, is essential?
Mr. Conway, in the whole world there is only one Valley of the Blue Moon.
You sent for me, Father?
I did. You are unhappy, my son.
Not for myself, Father. I've never known such happiness as I've enjoyed here. It's as if I'd been searching for a long, long time. last I'd come to the end of that search.
Then it is for the others you are unhappy.
For one of them. The other two are quite content, it seems.
Yes, Miss Sprinkler wishes to convert us. Mr. Barnard, who would also like to convert us into a gold mining corporation. But your friend, to whom neither gold nor religion can offer solace, how about him?
Yes, he's going to be the problem.
I'm afraid he's going to be your problem.
Why mine?
Oh. Very storms, they are nothing. Caracol sends us storms at this time of the year. But we are quite secure.
You said, Father, that Melanson was going to be my problem. Why mine, particularly?
Because, my son, I'm going to die. Yes, trust. But surely, my friend, we are all mortal, even at Shangri-La.
Father.
It is charming of you to appear so concerned. And I will not pretend that there is not a touch of wistfulness, even at my age, in contemplating death. Fortunately, little is left of me that can die physically. And as for the rest, all our religions display a pleasant unanimity of optimism. There remains to me, before I go, one final duty. Concerns you, my son.
You do me a great honor.
I have in mind to do much more than that. I am about to place in your hands, my son, the heritage and destiny of Shangri-La. I have waited for you, my son, for quite a long time. I have sat in this room and seen the faces of newcomers. I have looked into their eyes and heard their voices, always in hope that someday I might find you. My friend, it is not an arduous task that I bequeath, for our order knows only silken bonds. To be gentle and patient, to care for the riches of the mind, to preside in wisdom and secrecy, while the storm rages without.
The storm? This storm you talk about?
It will be such a one, my son, as the world has not seen before. There will be no safety by arms, no help from authority, no answer in science. It will rage till every flower of culture is trampled and all human things are leveled in a vast chaos. Such was my vision when Napoleon was still a name unknown, and as I see it now more clearly with each hour.
And you think this will come in my time?
I believe that you will live through the storm and after, through the long age of desolation. You may still live, growing older and wiser and more patient. You will conserve the fragrance of our history and add to it the touch of your own mind. Beyond that, my vision weakens, but I see, at a great distance, a new world stirring in the ruins, amidst lost and legendary treasures. And they will all be here, my son, preserved as by a miracle, hidden behind the mountains in the valley of the blue moon.
The speaking had finished. The voice was silent. Conway stood there, looking at that face before him, full of a remote and drenching beauty. Then the glow faded, and there was nothing left but a mask, dark shadowed and crumbling like old wood. And Conway told me that it was only after a long time that it came to him as part of a dream that the High Lama was dead.
Conway! Conway! I've got the porters. The porters? Yes, they're about 5 miles down the path. They came yesterday loaded with books and things.
You think he's going out to them?
Oh, naturally.
Oh, Melanson, suppose you do get beyond the pass and find the porters waiting there.
How do you know they'll take you with them? It all needs arrangement, negotiations beforehand.
Well, they have been arranged. They have been paid in advance. And they've agreed to take us.
Who's been making all these plans?
There's Sen.
Who?
There's Sen. She's with the porters now, down below the park. She's waiting.
Waiting?
Yes. She's coming with us. I assume you've no objection.
Don't, Sen. That's nonsense. It's impossible.
It's not impossible. You think you know a great deal more about her than I do, I dare say. But it seems you don't. Oh, just think of it, Conway. A kid of her age, shut up here with a lot of old men. Naturally she'd get away if she had a chance. She said she'd come. She wanted to come. Hang it all, Conway. Don't stare at me like that.
Allenson, I've got to tell you the truth. I hope when you've heard it, you'll realize at least why Lotsen can't possibly go back with you.
Well, there isn't anything that would make me believe that. But go ahead.
There's something about this valley, Malin. Something that makes it different from other places. From any other place on earth. There are men living here. You've seen them. Who were young when your grandparents were already old.
Oh, and you think that...
Lotsen is no different from the others. Lotsen is not young.
Not young? I suppose you were telling me that
he came here in 1884. And she was 18 then.
That makes her...
She was 18 then.
Conway, you're raving. You're raving!
Her beauty, Melanson, like all other beauty in the world, lies at the mercy of those who do not know how to value it. It is a fragile thing that can live only where fragile things are loved. Take it away from this valley, and you will see it fade like an echo. You will see her for what she is. An old woman.
Conway, I don't believe you. I never will. I think you're off your head.
I'm sorry if you think that, Melanson.
They warned me about that in India. I thought they were wrong.
What did they warn you of?
Well, they said that you'd been blown up in the war and that you'd be queer at times ever since.
Melanson.
Well, that settles it. I'll go now alone. I don't know how I managed to climb without you. And those tricks with a rope. That's almost certain death. But I must go. I gave my word.
Lotsen?
Yes. Oh, won't you come with us, Conway? I hate imploring you for my own sake, but I'm young and we've been friends. And Lotsen, too, she's young. Doesn't she count at all?
Allenson, there's just one question I'd like to ask.
Yes?
Are you in love with Lotsen?
I dare say I am. Oh, Conway, it's that stupid nonsense about her being old. Conway, you can't believe that. You just
How can you really know she's young?
Because I do know she's young. Because you'll think less of me for it. Because I do know. Oh, I'm afraid you'll never properly understand her, Conway.
You do. And she's young. And you're sure of that?
Just a girl, Conway. I was terribly sorry for her, and we were both attracted. I don't see there's anything to be ashamed of. She's young. I know.
I understand. Melanson, I don't know whether I've been mad and am now sane or whether I've been sane for a time and I'm now mad again.
Well, Conway.
Do you think you could manage that tricky bit on the pass for the rope if I were with you?
You see, I think at the last moment, the thing happened to Conway what so often happens to the dreamers of the world. His dream had dissolved, like all too lovely things, at the first touch of reality. I think he realized, too, that his mind dwelt in a world of its own Shangri-La. And that with their going, Melanson and Lotsen, that world was in peril. He saw the corridors of his imagination twist and strain under the impact. The pavilions were toppling, and all about was ruin.
Good heavens, man, you talk as though... You don't mean you really believe this story, do you?
I wouldn't believe it. Except for one very small fact.
And that is?
2 weeks ago, I went back to the hospital at Jungyang and looked up the young Chinese doctor who'd had charge of Conway's case. You remembered him perfectly. The Englishman who'd lost his memory. Was it true he'd been brought to the mission hospital by a woman, I asked. Oh, yes, certainly by a woman. A Chinese woman. She said something about a companion, a young Englishman who'd died on the way. Did he remember anything about her? Nothing, he answered, except that she'd been ill of fever herself and had died almost immediately. Then I asked him one final question. And I dare say you can guess what it was. About that Chinese woman, I said. Was she young?
Yes, and what did he say?
He looked at me solemnly for a moment, and then he answered, "Oh, no. She was most old. Most old of anyone I had ever seen."
The last you heard of Conway was 3 months ago from Bangkok, eh?
Yes. And he was going northwest.
Of course, many places lie northwest of Bangkok.
Including the Valley of the Blue Moon. Do you think he'll ever find it again?
My friend, it is not an arduous task that I bequeath, for our order knows only silken bonds. To be gentle and patient, to care for the riches of the mind, to preside in wisdom and secrecy while the storm rages without. Such a storm, my son, as the world has not seen before. There will be no safety by arms, no help from authority, no answer in science. But I see, at a great distance, a new world, stirring in the ruins, seeking its lost and legendary treasure. And they will all be here, my son, preserved as by a miracle, hidden behind the mountains in the Valley of the Blue Moon.
You have been listening to Orson Welles in the Campbell Playhouse presentation of Lost Horizon with Sigrid Gurry. Mr. Welles will return to the microphone with his guest of the evening in just a moment. Meanwhile, one quick reminder. You'll be serving soup frequently these December days, won't you? I'm sure you will. And in letting Campbell's make your soup for you, as I hope you will, may I suggest you think often of Campbell's chicken soup? You'll find its full, rich chicken flavor will delight your family and your guests. And they'll enjoy, too, the fluffy rice and tempting pieces of tender chicken meat that help to make this chicken soup of Campbell's so homelike in taste and good nourishment. Have it tomorrow, why don't you? If you will, then I know with your very first spoonful you'll understand why I say, just as sure as you like chicken, you'll like Campbell's chicken soup. And now I see Orson Welles is ready. Mr. Welles.
Here by my side, ladies and gentlemen, is a lady whom you've already admired in many continents of the world. In Asia, in Marco Polo, in Africa, in Algiers, and more recently in South America, in the picture Rio. And tonight she was in Tibet playing La Sin, but for whose charms the story of Shangri-La might never have reached the outside world. The beautiful Sigrid Gurry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Orson Welles. And thank you especially for inviting me here to Campbell's Playhouse. I hear your productions very often, and tonight being here in the studio with you, acting in one of them, is really an exciting experience for me.
That's very nice of you, Miss Gurry. Thank you.
Good night, Orson Welles.
Good night, Miss Gurry. And ladies and gentlemen, next week, next Sunday night, our favorite and foremost guest, Miss Helen Hayes, returns once more to the Campbell Playhouse. Our production, Vanessa, Hugh Walpole's magnificent love story of modern England. And Vanessa is not only the heroine of a great love story, she is also one of Helen Hayes' favorite characters. Indeed, it was Miss Hayes' own choice for her next appearance on the Campbell Playhouse. And so until next Sunday night, until Vanessa, my sponsors, the makers of Campbell Soup, and all of us here in the Campbell Playhouse remain obediently yours.
The makers of Campbell Soup join Orson Welles in inviting you to be with us in the Campbell Playhouse again next Sunday evening when we bring you our exclusive Playhouse star, Miss Helen Hayes, and the delightful love story, Vanessa. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed tonight's Playhouse presentation, won't you tell your grocer so tomorrow when you order Campbell's Chicken Soup? This is Ernest Chappell saying thank you and good night. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Calling all detectives. When a stock market analyst called a market trend wrong, what it cost him was his own life. That is the situation on this page from my casebook. The casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. Take a tip from me, Jerry Browning, private detective. It's never safe to make any predictions. The stock ticker at one corner of the office was rapping out a combination of letters and numbers. But John Pettigrew, the stock market analyst, didn't hear it because he was dead. His body lay slumped over the desk. His hand, dangling over the side of his chair, still held the gun. While the homicide squad men went through their routine movements, I talked with pink-cheeked, white-haired Harold McCormick, head of the Securities Exchange Board.
Mr. Browning, this proves that a man can become so engrossed in his work that he loses all sense of comparative values.
I nodded. Yeah? I guess you're right, Mr. McCormick. The suicide note seems to be genuine. Under the circumstances, just what do you expect me to do? McCormick looked uncomfortable.
Don't misunderstand me, Mr. Browning. I'm sure Pettigrew killed himself because the market analysis he sent out to his subscribing clients proved completely inaccurate. However, I would like to know why he made so complete a mistake.
I kept staring at the stock ticker, which had stopped working altogether. This thing hasn't been working much. I suppose that means a dull market session.
Yes, it does. The market is sluggish and off a bit, instead of being very active and sharply up. It's the first time in 3 years that Pettigrew has failed to predict a major trend accurately. And as you read from his suicide note, it preyed on his mind to the point where he took his own life.
I turned my back on the stock ticker. I'll accept the case, Mr. McCormick, but I'll warn you, I don't believe a man would kill himself over one error of judgment in 3 years. A well-known stock market analyst appeared to have taken his own life because a report he sent out was wrong. There was nothing I could do in Pettigrew's office while the police were working there, so I went on down to the Securities Exchange floor. It didn't take an expert to realize that there wasn't much of anything doing at the moment, but about 10 minutes later, several newcomers came onto the floor. And minutes after that, for no reason that I could see, the whole floor suddenly came to life. Men were shouting across the room to one another, wig-wagging signals and dashing about wildly. Alongside of me, Harold McCormick, head of the Securities Exchange Board, shouted into my ear,
"This is astounding. The bull market has arrived only 48 hours after Pettigrew predicted that it would."
Mr. McCormick's name got me a swift interview with Tom Caldwell, who was supposed to be the smartest stock trader in town. Mr. Caldwell, I guess you made a lot of money on today's bull market. Would you mind giving me some idea of how you figured out that a price rise was in the offing? Caldwell leaned back in his chair and laughed.
Simple, Browning, very simple. I pay John Pettigrew $1,500 a year for his market analysis service, and I have implicit faith in him. He predicted this rise, and I merely rolled with the tide.
I sighed. Mr. Caldwell, don't you know that Pettigrew killed himself this morning because he thought his analysis was all wrong?
No. I didn't know. I had no idea.
Well, you know now. Shrewd, cynical Joe Morton is the financial editor of the Daily Sentinel. He told me, "Jerry, nobody knows what makes the stock market go up or down. Some people base their market fluctuation systems on sunspot cycles." You think I'm kidding, but that's the sober truth. The fact is, if enough people think it'll go up, it goes up. And the opposite is just as true. I'm sorry, Jerry, but that's all I can tell you. I I spent what was left of the day interviewing half a dozen or so market analysts. And the gist of what they told me was,
obviously, sir, the market will go up when it doesn't go down, or stabilize within tight limit. My prediction for this month was optimistic, with cautious overtones, and suggested that after a necessary readjustment period, changes might be anticipated in one direction or another.
In other words, you didn't come right out and predict a sharp market increase the way Pettigrew did.
Well, no, I didn't. Nobody did, except Pettigrew.
At police headquarters, Lieutenant Dawson told me, Jerry, we haven't been able to find out where Pettigrew got a revolver. He certainly didn't have a permit to own one. Dawson, I think Pettigrew was murdered. And what's more, I don't think it's going to be too hard to find out who did it. Mr. McCormick, the head of the Securities Exchange Board, looked unhappy as the police accountants began working their way through the list of the day's stock transactions.
This is very irregular. I only consented to meet you gentlemen here in the interests of justice, and I trust you realize the very highly confidential nature of these records.
Don't worry, Mr. McCormick. The only person we're after is a murderer. Dawson came over to me.
We got all the figures, Jerry. You were right.
I turned to McCormick. I'm sorry, sir, but I'll have to ask you to come with us. Tom Caldwell, the stock trader, had a fine big home in one of the best suburbs. He told Dawson,
Yes, Mr. Pettigrew and I were very good friends. As a matter of fact, we spent several days together up at my hunting lodge, and he seemed in very good spirits at the time.
I smiled at him. Mr. Caldwell, the two of you got back only last night, didn't you? I didn't wait for his answer. You left for your hunting lodge immediately after Pettigrew prepared his market letter and sent it out to his subscribers. Since you didn't return until last night, it was not until this morning that Pettigrew learned what was in his letter. Caldwell turned pale.
I don't understand you, Mr. Browning. Since Pettigrew wrote his own letter, he obviously knew its contents.
I shook my head. Not this time he didn't. Because the letter that went out was not the letter he wrote. Pettigrew let no one see his letters in advance, lest any news of his predictions leak out. That's why you could work a substitution, because you were the only man he trusted. You prepared a false letter, predicting a general market rise, knowing that Pettigrew's prestige would create such a rise, at least temporarily. That's why today, while all other traders were buying, you were selling. Stock you had bought last week in anticipation of this rise. And that's also why you forced Pettigrew to write a suicide note at gunpoint and then killed him, so that he could not repudiate the counterfeit letter sent out over his signature. Mr. Caldwell, you're under arrest for murder. We had to pile up a lot of evidence to make him do it. But finally, Caldwell did confess. We tracked the revolver to him. We proved that Caldwell had taken the Pettigrew market letters to the post office. In fact, we did everything but find the original Pettigrew letters, which Caldwell had destroyed. The market went into a nosedive following Caldwell's arrest. Then, the next day, it started a 3-week climb that carried it to a new high for the year. And don't ask me why. Sunspots, maybe. Like I said, stock markets may be unpredictable, but when it comes to crime, you can't ever sell justice short. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives. Mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, Private Detective.
Rinso presents Call the Police.
Attention homicide section. Crime squad detail. Murder suspect in your zone. Close in according to instruction.
Between you and the evil outside the law, between you and the housebreaker, the kidnapper, the murderer, stands the policeman of your community. He gives up his sleep that you may sleep unafraid. He gives up his safety that you may be safe. And if need be, he gives up his life to protect yours.
Lever Brothers Company, makers of Triple Action Rinso, bring you Call the Police, starring Joseph Julian and Joan Tompkins. This new series of realistic radio dramas is inspired by the courageous work of police departments all over America.
This is Commissioner Bill Grant. Every once in a while, I like to look through the files of the Ashland Police Department just to remind myself that sometimes the difference between a murder solved and a murder gone unpunished can be a very little thing. A piece of string, maybe, or the core of an apple. As a matter of fact, there's a file card on my desk right now, number 439-652. The name up at the top of the card is Tenney, Calvin Tenney. He kept a fruit stand at the corner of Tremont and Pine. That's where the case began.
Nice apples you got there, Pop.
Huh? Oh, Oregon apples. This is the only fruit stand in town carries them. Try one.
Sure. Yeah, not bad, Pop.
Name is Tenney.
Not bad at all. How's business, Pop?
Well, you know how fruit stand goes. 1 week up, 1 week down.
From now on, it's all down.
Huh?
You're going out of business, Pop.
What?
Mm-hmm. Besides, your health ain't so good.
Oh, my health's all right. I'm not so young, maybe,
I like
but...
this apple. Your health's bad. Gonna get worse.
I don't understand.
Yeah, we'll have another apple. Close up the stand, Pop. Take a vacation, retire, raise chickens, do anything. I don't care, but close up the stand fast.
Now, why should I?
You know, the second apple's as good as the first. Because if you don't, Pop, they'll pick you up in an alley one of these nights. I'll tell you what, Pop, give me a bag full of those apples, huh? In an alley, Pop. And lay 'em down. Because you got bullets, Pop. And you're dead.
Commissioner.
Huh?
It's 6 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Commissioner, 6 o'clock is when all good police officials go home.
Yeah, okay, Maggio. I was just... What's that?
Oh, somebody exercising their lungs. I'll go take a look.
What is it, Maggio? Maggio!
Oh, there's a guy out here runs a fruit stand beeping because his license hasn't been renewed.
Why wasn't it renewed?
Well, the stand's on the corner of Tremont and Pine, right next to the bank. The president wrote and said he didn't like it. It ain't dignified or something.
Maybe there's the parking lot across the street, or the Langley dump in the third corner.
Why, Commissioner, the Langley mansion is one of the city's landmarks.
Well, it's still an eyesore. It hasn't been lived in for 50 years. Maggio, let me talk to that man.
Commissioner, it's unimportant, routine stuff.
Well, apparently it's pretty important to him.
Okay, Commissioner. Hey, you. Come on in. Thank you. There he is. Behind the desk, mister.
Mr. Grant?
Grab a chair. You're,
Tenney. Calvin Tenney.
Oh, yes. You've had that stand at Tremont and Pine for some time, haven't you, Mr. Tenney?
23 years, last April.
Well, let me go through the papers on it. When do you need the renewal?
Tomorrow.
Maggio, have the department suspend action until I can review this thing. Mr. Tenney can keep his stand until then.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. And there was one other thing. Yesterday, I was threatened.
You were? By...
The man I never seen before who warned me to close up the stand or be killed.
What did he look like?
Oh, he's ordinary.
Well, that doesn't help a lot.
Well, he kind of medium everything, that's all.
Uh-huh. Well, I'll have the patrolman on the beat keep his eyes open. In the meantime, you take care of yourself.
Yes, sir. Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye. Now, let's get out of here, Maggio. I've got to attend a civic function.
With Libby Tyler?
Who else?
Nice legs, nice eyes, nice... but why did they have to send her to college?
She's bright, Maggio.
Yeah, and that's bad in the dish. Gives him ideas about criminal psychology, for instance. Makes him take jobs with the department. Assistant to the criminal psychologist, for instance.
This is supposed to be an up-to-date police department, Maggio. We need...
Commissioner, when I take a girl out, I'm not interested in battalion measurements. I'm interested in other kinds of measurements.
Okay, Maggio. Will you cover that Tenney affair?
Tenney will stay on that corner till all his fruit gets rotten. Go on, have some fun, Commissioner. You got it coming to you.
Ouch. Commissioner, you stepped on my toe.
Huh? Oh, I'm sorry, Libby.
Still thinking about that Tenney thing?
I guess I am. Can't decide whether he was really threatened or whether he just made up that story.
Well, it's possible. The world's full of criminals. You know, since I've been working in the criminal psychology department, I see them everywhere.
You do?
Sure. Well, you take that man over there. See him? Positive he's a criminal. The way his forehead recedes. Those lobes on his ears.
Libby, that's James Carson.
Has he got a record?
Uh-huh.
See?
He's been principal of the West Side High School for the last 30 years.
Oh. Well, all I've got to say is they better keep an eye on that high school.
Well, there's Maggio looking. Hey, Maggio.
Oh, Commissioner.
Hello, Sergeant.
Hello, Miss Tyler. Commissioner, I hate to bust up your party, but I thought you'd want to know right away.
Know what?
We just got word at headquarters from Mrs. Tenney.
Yes?
Tenney is missing.
Maggio told Libby Tyler and me that old man Tenney had just been reported missing. We grabbed a squad car and highballed it right down to Tenney's fruit stand.
Tremont and Pine, Commissioner.
There's the stand.
It's all shut up for the night.
Maggio.
Yeah? What? Oh, a couple of oranges caught in a wooden shutter. So what?
Those oranges are ruined. A man running this stand for over 20 years wouldn't do that. Unless he was frightened or unless he didn't close that stand down himself.
You setting this up for a snatch, Commissioner?
It could be.
Well, why would anyone want to kidnap Mr. Tenney?
I don't know, Libby, but that's what it looks like. Well, we've got the alarm out for him. Routine's covered. Come on, let's get back to the car. Maggio.
Yeah, Commissioner?
If you snatched a man on the corner of Tremont and Pine, and you wanted to get away fast to where there weren't many people around, where would you go?
Oh, let me see. Straight up Pine, less than a mile, and I'd be up in the hills.
All right, then get going. Straight up Pine.
Well, we're getting close to Ellerton. Hasn't been a break in the road so far.
I don't like that.
We're coming to a side road.
Take it, Maggio.
Okay. But why?
If they took Tenney out of the city, they wouldn't take him into another one. This road's the first break in the main highway.
It ain't a good road, straight.
That's what they'd want. Slow down.
I got it. The road's petering out. Dead end in the middle of nowhere.
Just trees around us. Trees and darkness.
Come here.
Oh, you found something?
Look.
Tire marks. They're not very clear, but car was parked here.
Bill, the edge of the road here.
Yeah. Dirt's been smeared. So something were dragged along the ground. Hey, look. Apple core. Come on.
Hey, I don't like this. In among the trees, it's so dark.
Leaves have been disturbed. We're getting someplace.
Commissioner, over here.
Okay.
Libby, better stay where you are.
Why?
Because Tenney ain't missing anymore, and he ain't good to look at.
As soon as we got back to headquarters, I got the boys started. Photographs, plaster casts of footprints, ballistics tests. I also let the boys play with the apple core we found. They put varnish and phosphoric powder and things like that. Sometimes they find out what kind of teeth the man had who chewed it. Later, I went to see Wiley, president of the Travelers Bank. Wiley, who'd objected to the stand because it wasn't dignified.
Commissioner, I consider this an intrusion, unwarranted and presumptuous. I shall speak to the mayor about it.
You do that, Mr. Wiley, but first I wish you'd speak to me about it. Your letter said you wanted Tenny's fruit stand shut up because it was on the same corner as the bank, and you didn't consider it pretty enough.
That is quite correct.
Are you sure you had no other reason?
What other reason could I have had?
Yeah. All right, Mr. Wiley. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Hi, Joe.
Yeah, waiting here like old faithful. You get anything?
No, not a thing, I'm afraid.
Tired of walking?
I just thought of something. Wiley's garage.
Very interesting, architecturally.
That's his car I'm interested in. Come on.
Oh, don't you ever give up, Commissioner. What could there be in Wiley's car?
Here we are. Chauffeur's quarters over the garage, huh? Hope we don't wake him. Got a light?
And a torch.
Good.
What are you looking for inside the car?
Blood? Bullet holes or... Look.
An apple core. Lobby. Commissioner, have you been here all night?
Uh-huh.
Why the early bird routine?
Now, Joe, that apple core we found in Wiley's car is the same kind of apple core as the one we found on the road. I had the boys make a quick check. They're both Oregon apples, and Tenny was the only stand in town that carried Oregon apples.
Ah, you have got yourself something. All right, let's go arrest Wiley.
Now, Joe, we can't go to court with circumstantial evidence and no motive.
Yeah, jury's on nuts about motives.
Hello.
Bill, Libby.
Oh, hello, Libby.
Bill, I couldn't sleep all night thinking of Mr. Tenney, and I want to do something about it.
I know how you feel, Libby. We're doing all we can, testing and checking everything.
But that's just routine.
Well, Libby, 99 police cases out of 100 are cracked by routine.
This is the 100th case, Bill. And I think I'm on the right track, the psychological track that...
Juries don't care for psychological proof.
Have you got anyone to bring before a jury yet?
No, but...
Well, I'm going to get you that someone. Bill, Mr. Wiley is mixed up in this thing somehow.
Well, there are a couple of pointers to him, sure, but...
He killed Tenney, or had him killed, because he was planning to rob his own bank. Abscond with the funds. That's why Wiley sent that letter of complaint to the department.
But, Libby, why should Wiley have the old man killed?
I don't know. You don't either. But, Bill, I'm going to find out.
Mr. Wiley won't answer the doorbell. Sure he's inside. Well, I'll get him later. I thought Mr. Wiley was inside. His car's here. The chauffeur's washing it down. I wonder if... Yes. Hello?
Yeah?
Was the car out last night?
What do you want to know for, miss?
Because I think it was out.
So what?
Nothing. Nothing important.
Yeah? What you want to know about the car for?
Well, is that a gun?
It's a gun.
Well,
Don't turn your head. Just walk into the garage. Act natural.
But I don't
I said walk. That's better. Now, would you like to tell me why you're so interested in where the car was last night?
It's none of your business.
No?
What are you going to do?
Just this.
Commissioner, keep on wearing that track on the floor, and you'll be down in the men's locker room soon.
Oh, the whole day's shut. Nothing. Nothing we can make a case out of.
Old Lady Tenney's got herself a case.
What's that?
Went off a rocker, wound up in General Hospital.
What happened?
The way I got it from the desk, she was wandering around the stand all night.
Well, next to her living room, I suppose that's the most familiar place in the world to her.
Anyway, she got hysterical, told a cop on the beach she saw ghosts.
Ghosts? Keep going.
Oh, there's nothing to it. Claims she saw lights, saw shadows moving in the old Langley dump. Now, that place has been boarded up for 50 years.
Why wasn't I told about this before?
You're too busy to be bothered with the ravings of a hysterical woman.
She may have been hysterical, Maggio, but she wasn't raving.
Now, wait
Don't you
a minute.
realize she's given us the key to this whole case?
No, I don't.
Because... Sure, Maggio. There were ghosts in that house last night.
Rinso White and Rinso Bright. Ladies, have you heard the case of the whitest, brightest wash in town? Well, it's no mystery now. Rinso solved that one.
I'd bet on Rinso. When the washer salesman suggested I use Rinso, I never dreamed it would make such a difference. But you should see my clothes. White things like fresh, clean snow and washable colors, bright and gay, even after scores of washings.
Yes, Rinso always gets top results. So it's no wonder only Rinso carries the recommendation of the makers of 33 leading washers. For Rinso's triple action formula gives you a special soapy-rich base, an amazing suds booster, and a marvelous grease chaser. Ask for Rinso, for a Rinso white wash with ease, a Rinso bright wash with safety.
When I heard that the hysterical Mrs. Tenney had reported ghosts in the old Langley mansion, the idea struck me. Maggio and I led off in one car, and a detail of squad men followed us in another. We pulled up to the Langley house about midnight, slipped in the back entrance. Then we sat there in the dusty old dump and waited. And waited.
2 o'clock, Commissioner. Don't you think it's about time you told us what we're waiting for?
All right. The home bank across the street is being robbed right now.
What? Well, let's go get him.
No, it's easier this way. I have a prejudice against cops being killed.
But,
that's why I ordered the cop on the beat to stay away from the bank tonight. Take a look now, Maggio.
Okay. I can see the front of the bank through the crack in the window. Hey, they're coming out now.
Good.
They're getting into a car. Hey, Commissioner, what do we do? Just sit here?
That, Maggio, is exactly what we do.
I could think of lots nicer places to sit around in.
This will get better as we go along. All right, men. The company I promised you is coming. They'll be using the back door any minute now. Take them the minute they come in. They're yours, boys.
All right, come on, put your hands up over there.
All right, Commissioner, everything's under control.
We can have a light now. That's better. Anybody hurt?
Nobody hurt, Commissioner.
Good. Well. 4 little gangsters loaded to the hilt with bank money, huh?
Hey, those are the guys who just robbed the bank.
That's right.
And they headed back here. You knew that?
That's right.
Oh, well, I am. But how about Tenney's killer? Is he one of these babies?
No, he isn't. Let's go get him.
Go where?
Wiley's house.
Let me get it straight, Commissioner, before we go in and see Wiley. Now, you figured the Langley house was going to be used as a hideaway because of old Mrs. Tenney's ghost story.
That's right. What do the police do in the case of a bank job? They throw roadblocks around the city, stop every automobile in sight. But suppose you drive the getaway car a couple of blocks and abandon it, and then go back to across the street from the bank you cracked, to an old empty house. You dig in for a few days, the police think you've escaped, then you just walk out.
Good thing you decided to be a policeman instead of a crook. There's Wiley's doorbell. And you figured Wiley acted as a finger man, huh? That's a new twist, too.
Oh, Commissioner, this is getting to be too much.
We'll come in.
Just a minute.
Keep your shirt on, Mr. Wiley. For one thing, your bank was robbed tonight.
I'm glad you're so cheerful about it.
What kind of a police commissioner are you?
The gang was caught and every penny returned.
Oh. And what do you want from me? More investigating? Oh, your girl was here, too. I didn't let her in, though.
Libby Tyler?
So she started on that chauffeur of mine.
Did you see her leave?
No. No, I'm not a snoop. Like some people.
She hasn't been around all day yet. Maggio, I think we've got trouble.
What's the matter? The gag bothering you, sister? Oh, don't worry. That cop tries to come up here and get me. Gags won't bother you, baby. Nothing will. Because... Uh-oh. I'm walking out of the main house, coming down. Hey, your boyfriend's done it. Got Wiley in handcuffs, taking him downtown. Nice work, Commissioner. Stopping in front of the garage underneath the window here. Ringing the window. That must be they want me to lock up the house or something. They got Wiley tabbed for the job. I'm in the clear. Take it easy, sister. I'll be back. Yep.
We're arresting your boss.
Oh, what'd he do?
Read about it in tomorrow's paper. Come here. Take these keys. Lock up the big house.
Okay.
All right, Maggio.
Reach, mister.
Hey, what is...
Hiya. Very pretty. Now we'll see if these fit. Well, they fit very nice. And you handcuffs look good, killer.
And now will you take these handcuffs off me, Commissioner?
Certainly, Mr. Wiley. Nice of you to let us use you as a decoy. There you are.
Thank you. As for you, Kane, you're fired.
What's more, killer, you're going to be fired in a different way pretty soon. Come on, let's get down to headquarters. I think the commissioner's going to be busy.
Bill, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Easy, Libby. It's all over now.
I thought Mr. Wiley was behind all this.
No, Libby. It was a gang who were setting things up to use the Langley place as a hideout. They couldn't afford to have a guy like Tenney around. He'd spot something and talk.
But how did you know the chauffeur was involved?
Did you notice he had a tooth missing in front? The cast made of the apple core we found in the car and on the road shows that. Then there was the fact that the chauffeur just started on his job with Wiley yesterday.
He bragged to me about how he'd worked the whole plan out. How he got the job with Wiley so he could be around without arousing suspicion and get to know the bank well enough. And how did you know the chauffeur was new, Bill?
Old man Tenney, remember? He told me a stranger had threatened him. But unless Wiley had hired a new chauffeur, Tenney would have known him. He saw Wiley drive up to the bank every day. He would have certainly known what his chauffeur looked like.
Oh. You're bright, Bill.
No, I'm just a cop who's trying.
I guess you're not so bright after all.
Why?
Well, here you've just saved a girl's life. The girl might be very grateful. If you were really bright, you'd think of something to do about it.
Bill Grant will be back in just a moment with the Lever Brothers Police Award of Valor. This week presented to a police officer who, in spite of almost mortal wounds, apprehended a vicious bandit. But first...
Yoo-hoo, Helen! Look at this cotton suit I'm wearing. Would you believe it? I've had it 3 years. Skirts are longer, so I let out the hem, and now it looks simply wonderful. Of course, though, I've never washed it in anything but Rinso.
Yes, these days, lots of smart women are congratulating themselves that they've always given their clothes Rinso care, because Rinso care means longer wear. You see, Rinso's triple action formula is safe for washable colors, gentle to washable fabrics. So remember, Rinso for a safe and dazzling wash. A wash that's Rinso white and Rinso bright. Keep on asking for Rinso.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Commissioner Bill Grant. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to present the Lever Brothers Plaque of Valor this week to Police Officer Bernard Shea of the Police Force of San Francisco, California. Patrolman Shea was selected by Chief Peter J. Sicardi, lifetime member of the Executive Board of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. On February the 4th, 1947, Patrolman Shea's first day on the police force, he spotted a bandit escaping from a neighboring jewelry store. Shea gave chase. The bandit turned and fired. The bullet struck Shea in the chest. Shea staggered but kept coming. Again the bandit fired. A second bullet ripped into Shea's abdomen. Shea closed in. A third bullet struck him in the left arm. And in spite of excruciating pain and profuse bleeding, Shea grappled with the bandit and with his last ounce of strength succeeded in handcuffing him before he collapsed. The bandit pleaded guilty of robbery and was sentenced to San Quentin Penitentiary. Shea is now recuperating in emergency hospital. So to Police Officer Bernard Shea goes $100 and this week's Lever Brothers Plaque of Valor. Congratulations, too, to Chief Dulier and the police force of San Francisco for their unfailing effort to protect the people of your community.
You and every responsible citizen can promote positive action in education by taking an active interest in the schools of your community. If your children are to have the kind of education you want them to have, well-trained teachers, proud of their profession, are essential. Your children's schools must have the best possible buildings and equipment. By joining your community's school associations and groups, you can help your schools maintain the traditionally high standards of American education. This is Jay Sims reminding you to be with us next Tuesday night when Lever Brothers Company, makers of Rinso, bring you another exciting, realistic police case. Listen next week to...
The case of the 3 used bullets.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Eversharp Schick Injector Razors and Blades present Tonight on Broadway. Tonight on Broadway, our guest star, Connie Boswell, Ted Husing and the Eversharp Schick Shave-a-thon, songs by Larry Douglas, Ray Block and the Eversharp Schick Orchestra, and yours truly, Ken Roberts. All brought to you by the manufacturers of Eversharp Schick Injector Razors and Blades. And tonight on Broadway, the voice of our lovely guest star, Connie Boswell.
Give me 5 minutes more, only 5 minutes more. Let me stay in your arms. Now here am I begging for only 5 minutes more, only 5 minutes more of your charm. Now all week long I dream about our Saturday date. Honey, don't you know that Sunday morning you can't sleep late, so give me 5 minutes more, only 5 minutes more. Let me stay in your arms. Put your arms around me, honey, don't chase me away. Huddle up and cuddle up, oh, please let me stay. Who cares if it is getting late? Just as long as you and I are on the same side of that gate. Now, if it's wrong for me to swoon when I hear you sigh, then I'll be wrong, yeah, I'll be wrong till the day I die. Oh, baby. 5 minutes more. Only 5 minutes more. Let me stay in your
That was grand, Connie, and welcome back.
Well, thank you, Ken. You always say that so sweet-like. It's mighty pleasant to be back with Tonight on Broadway and ought to sit in on a singing session with you folks. And welcome to Tonight on Broadway, Larry Douglas.
Thanks, and I'm mighty happy to be able to sit in with you tonight, Connie. I'm singing for Bobby Doyle, who couldn't make it because of a bad cold.
Well, I'm sorry that Bobby has a bad cold, but it's right sweet of you, Larry, to come along and pinch hit for him. And by the way, that was a great job you did last summer singing for Wayne King.
Thanks.
And I understand that you're working on a new show with him now. Is that right?
Right.
Well, best of luck. We're sure glad to have you with us tonight. So how's about stepping up and chirping out a little song, huh?
Sure thing.
The memory of fading summer and the lovely promise of golden autumn are caught in the love theme of a song. Here is Larry Douglas with September Song.
Oh, it's a long, long while from May to December, but the days grow short when you reach September, when the autumn weather turns the leaves to flame. One hasn't got time for the waiting game. Oh, the days dwindle down to a precious few. September, November, and these few precious days I'll spend with you. These precious days I'll spend with you. Oh, the days dwindle down to a precious few. September, November, and these few precious days I'll spend with you. These precious days I'll spend with you.
For the latest word in sports, it's Ted Husing. Ted's exciting driving descriptions of the world's greatest sports events are familiar to fans all over the country, always giving them a thrilling word's ear view of the exciting happenings on the sports scene. And here he is, Take it, Ted Husing.
Thank you very much, Ken. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the shaving demonstration no other razor has ever dared conduct. Yes, the Eversharp Schick competes against the field. You actually hear which razor gives you the fastest, safest, easiest shave, the smooth and easy shave you want. Last week, an Eversharp Schick user won in the amazing time of 46 seconds. Tonight, we have 6 more contestants picked at random from the studio audience, men from Maine, Rhode Island, and Iowa, 1 from New York City, 1 from Brooklyn, and, yes, 1 from the Bronx. Now, 3 of these men are going to shave with the Eversharp Schick injector razors. 3 will use the other safety razors. Who'll win tonight's big shave-a-thon? Well, we'll see. They're all lathered up now, waiting for the signal. And they're off. As this race gets underway, all 6 contestants must first take their razors out of their cases and prepare them for shaving. Eversharp Schick changes blades automatically. Just pull, push, click, click, and you're shaving. And that's why the men using the Eversharp Schick are already shaving. Unlike their opponents, they have no blades to unwrap. Eversharp Schick is the world's only razor with the automatic blade changer. As our Schick users glide along easily, surely, safely, smoothly, they realize that the patented guard bar holds the whiskers erect and lets the Eversharp Schick cut cleaner and closer. And there you see how quick this race was over. There's the winner. Once again, Eversharp Schick proves 50% faster, 100% safer, and 200% smoother. And now, Ken Roberts, what is the official time?
24 seconds. And the winner using an Eversharp Schick injector razor is Mr. Boccaccio of Brooklyn.
Congratulations, Mr. Boccaccio.
Miss Connee, what would you say a song had to have in order to rank on your own personal hit parade?
Well, Ken, I'd say it would have to have love appealancy.
Now, just a minute. Did you say love appealancy?
I sure did. You know, all the world's in love with love. And if the words and music of a song bring back the sweetness of love remembrance, well, then that song marches right smack dab in my hit parade. And tonight on Broadway, one of the top tunes in the song does just that. A song I'd like to sing right now. To each his own. A rose must remain with the sun and the rain, or its lovely promise won't come true. To each his own. To each his own. And my own is you. What good is a song if the words just don't belong? And a dream must be a dream or two. No good alone. To each his own. There's you. If a flame is to grow, there must be a glow to open each door. There's a key. I need you, I know. I can't let you go. Your touch means too much to me. Must insist on 2 more to be kissed, or they'll never know what love can do. To each his own. I found my own, one and only you. If a flame is to grow, there must be a glow to open each door. There's a key. I need you, I know. I can't let you go. Your touch means too much to me. Must insist on 2 more to be kissed, or they'll
Tonight on Broadway, Ray Bloch with his ever-sharp Chic Orchestra brings you his brilliant arrangement of his latest signature record release, the ever-popular Jealousy.
Larry, you've taken your first bow on our Tonight on Broadway stage. Now, how's about taking another by singing one of my favorite tunes?
Be glad to, Miss Connie. Larry Douglas singing You and the Night and the Music.
Song is in the air, telling us romance is ours to share. Now at last we've found one another alone. Love like yours and mine has the thrilling glow of sparkling wine. Make the most of time ere it has flown. You and the night and the music fill me with flaming desire, setting my being completely on fire. You and the night and the music thrill me, but will we be one after the night and the music are done? Until the pale light of dawn without warning and take away the stars. If we must live for the moment, love till the moment is through. After the night and the music die, will I have you?
Ray Bloch recreates the delightful setting of the musical comedy Very Warm for May. As with the ever-sharp Schick Orchestra, he brings you once again the hit tune of that show, the haunting, appealing All the Things You Are, featuring Johnny Guarneri at the piano. If you already own an Eversharp Schick Injector razor, get a supply of Eversharp Schick Injector blades now. Enjoy again the world's finest shave. The shave that's 50% faster, 100% safer, 200% smoother. Your dealer has Eversharp Schick Injector blades again, and the exclusive automatic blade changer. Insert the changer. Pull, push, click, click. There's a new blade instantly. Nothing to unwrap, no cut fingers. Eversharp Schick Injector blades are better than ever, keener than ever, yet the same pre-war economy price. 20 blades for 75 cents. If you don't own an Eversharp Schick Injector razor, buy yours tomorrow, complete with 20 blades, only $1.25. Compare. Comparison proves. Use Eversharp Schick Injector for the world's finest shave. For our finale, we picked two songs that rank high in popularity. Tonight on Broadway, you'll always hear these two. So, with Ray Bloch and his Eversharp Schick Orchestra, we hear first from Larry Douglas singing, If You Were the Only Girl in the World.
If you were the only girl in the world, and I were the only boy, nothing else would matter in the world today. We could go on loving in the same old way. A garden of Eden just made for two, with nothing to mar our joy. I would say such wonderful things to you. There would be such wonderful things to do if you were the only girl in the world, and I were the only boy.
And closing the show, our lovely guest star, Connie Boswell, brings her celebrated style to the toe-tapping rhythm of South America. Take it away.
Up here in the land of the hot dog stand, the atom bomb and the good humor man, our South American neighbors are grand. We love 'em to beat the band. South America, babaloo, babaloo, hey, babaloo, one favor you can do, you beautiful land below. You don't know what you began, just to put it plainly. I'm tired of shaking to that Pan-American plan. Take back your samba, your rumba, your conga. I can't keep moving. My chances, any longer. Now maybe Latin in the middle, all built stronger. But all is taken with the quaking and it's making with the shaking, got me aching. Ole, I move around and settle here. I move around and settle there. I move around and settle here. That's enough, take it back. My spine's out of whack. There's a strange click-clack in the back of my sack. Oh, Willie, take back your samba, your conga, your rumba, Why can't you give us a less strenuous number? I've got more bumps now than on a cucumber. While all the Latin drums are clopping like a jumping jack, I'm hopping without stopping. Ole, South America, You take it away down yonder in the land of cotton. They've forgotten about that cotton. Forgotten about the cotton. Oh, rocking chair's gonna get me. I'll have a cane by my side. If I don't stop that jumping, man, I ain't gonna have no hide. I'll be just like the bear that makes tracks but ain't gone nowhere. Just sitting here crabbing out those maracas from a rocking chair. I move around, Lord, it gets me here. I turn around, it gets me there. I move around, it gets me here. That's enough, take it back. My spine's out of whack. There's a strange click-clack in the back of my sack. So really act. Take back your samba, yay, your rumba, ay, your conga, ay, ay, ay. South America, you better take it away.
Be with us again next week, same time, same station, for another performance of Tonight on Broadway, when our guest will be Connie Boswell. And remember, tune in every sharp Southern great radio shows and Southern and Maisie Friday nights, Bill Baker and Take It or Leave It Sunday nights over these same stations. This is Ken Roberts saying good night for the makers of Eversharp Chick Injector, Razors, and Blades. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This is your Cowboy Church of the Air. He's gonna watch my kids away, and for 100 years I'll say, got so many years that I can't count 'em. Yes, this is your Cowboy Church of the Air, transcribed featuring Stuart Hamblin, Columbia recording artist, with Susie Hamblin, the Prairie Choir, the Brush Arbor Quartet, the Bluebonnets, and the music of Darrell Rice and his orchestra. Bringing to you a half hour of down-to-earth music written especially for your enjoyment by one of America's greatest composers, Stuart Hamblin.
Oh, and this Christmas, not much worth, but we'll be flying by. I'll trade my rags for an open grove and a mansion in the sky. When you see me fall asleep, say amen, but don't you weep. Got so many million years that I can count on.
Hello, everybody. Yes, friends, this is your Cowboy Church, riding on the long arm of radio right into your home, and we hope deep into your heart. You know, we've got an awful lot of members of this church, but there's one in particular that we'd like to tell you about. He's the pillar of the church, so to speak, because he's the one who makes it all possible.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Munch TV. I'd like to tell you a little story. You know, I lost a radio job one time in California that had held for 21 years because I refused to read certain commercials that were handed to me. You know why? Because on October the 18th, 1950, I became a Christian. And there's no such thing as a 1950. I got back into radio only on one condition, and that condition was that I'd be allowed to give the commercials and that I'd be allowed to choose the sponsor. And I chose Munch TV because I've owned one for some time. I know the public wants to save every dime they can when they buy a product, and in buying a Munch TV, you save a lot of money. You don't have money to throw to the birds, and I knew it. Munch TV knew it, too, when he started out 4 years ago. And today he's the biggest direct TV organization in the world. No dealer sells a Munch TV other than the factory office itself. And when you call the factory office, they will send a man out within the hour to give you a free home demonstration. If you purchase the Munch TV set, they will service it when you call. Now, I know, for I've made it my business to find out these things. So why not call the factory office right now for a free home demonstration, and they will call to your home within the hour.
And now, Brother Rice, will you get the Prairie Choir to rise? And let's heist this number in the key of about half a D. You'll find it in your joy book, folks, on page 8. And Brother John, give us the pitch pipe on the tuba in about half a B, will you?
Is that right? From your hand. You daily take his holy name and sing. By the very act you do, you can crucify him. And in evil and you never cleanse your hand.
Once a man named Pontius Pilate tried to go to sleep one night. He stood before a wash bowl, all his household heard him cry. I've washed my hands for hours, but I still can't understand. I can never cleanse my half-blood upon my hands. Is that right? Is the blood upon your hands? Do you
you daily take his holy name in vain. By the very act you do, you can crucify him too, and in evil life you'll never cleanse your hand. Every day you try to Jesus like they did that awful night. Every wrong you bring teardrops to the man they crucified. Like Pontius in the darkness, you'll never understand why you go to meet your maker with his blood upon your hands. Is that blood? Is there blood upon your hands? Do you daily take his holy name in vain? By the very act you do, you can crucify him too, and in evil life you'll never cleanse your hands. And when you see the lightning flight and you hear that thunder roll, the God that rules the heavens is the keeper of your soul. When you walk up to your maker in that happy golden land, you find the gate won't open if there's blood upon your hand. Is there blood upon your hand? And do you daily take his holy name in vain? By the very act you do, you can crucify him, and in your life you'll never cleanse your hand.
Man, do I love to hear that tuba and that banjo trumpet.
Amen.
Thank you, Brother Dooley, thank you. And that reminds me, Brother Rice, do you remember where the first time we sang that number was?
I sure do. It was over at Pocolodi.
That's right. In fact, I'd like to tell our listeners we were all invited over at Pocolodi to one of those great big camp meetings. Did anybody ever go to one of them? Oh, yeah. We had a time that time. That was when the folks would bring their victuals in a great big wash tub, planned to stay 3 weeks. In fact, it was over in Pocolodi. What was that little old man's name, Darrell? That little bit... Brother Golat.
That's right.
Brother Golat.
You know, I believe his wife used to cut his hair with an electric fan.
Oh, Darrell.
It looked like he was always walking around in an updraft.
Oh.
You boys ought to be ashamed of yourselves. You enjoyed plenty of their fried chicken. You remember it was his little old wife who gave you the idea for the best song you ever wrote, too. You read it during that meeting, remember? That's where you read we bought my soul at Calvary.
Yeah, that's right. But what are you talking about his little wife for? You know that woman had shoulders on her like a football guard?
Yeah, but she really loved
Yeah,
the
she
Lord.
carried old Brother Golightly around.
The way she got those shoulders was she had to plow the West 40 or work it in some other way every morning before breakfast. So...
Wait a minute, woman. Why don't you just step up with a brush arbor quartet and sing?
Well, all right, I will. And
Well, all right, then, no buts about it. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Susie Hamlin and the Brush Arbor Quartet singing He Bought My Soul at Calvary.
He bought my soul through death at Calvary.
There's a cross for everyone to bear, but there's a heaven for each soul to share. There's a place in heaven waiting me. I got it through Christ's death at Calvary. Each drop of blood bought me a million years. Our soul was born each time he shed a tear. He loosed the chain that fettered you and me. He bought my soul through death at Calvary. Though days are long and often filled with care, I talk to him, and with each wondrous prayer, he bids me stay and gives new strength to me. He bought my soul through death at Calvary. Each year
Susie, and thank you, boys, too. By the way, friends, speaking about that camp meeting we made, I remember it was over there I run into a little old-timey fellow who made a very potent statement. He said, I'd rather be a partner with the Lord than own all the valleys and the hills and the meadows in the whole wide world.
Amen. You wrote a song about that, too, didn't you, Stuart?
That's right, buddy.
Do you always get your ideas for songs from people?
Nearly always. For instance, that little old man who made that remark was wearing old threadbare clothes. I can see him now. But he came in that camp meeting, was there for the first day. In fact, he didn't leave till, as we say down south, till the last duck died. I wonder where he is now.
Well, that's been 2 or 3 years ago, hasn't it?
That's been over that long. He was in his 80s. I believe he was in his 80s then. But there's one thing for sure. If he's not making camp meetings on this earth anymore, he's not going to be short when they hold that big one in the sky. Yeah, and it's just like he said as he stood there under an oak tree by the campfire. Nothing in this world matters unless you're really a partner with the Lord.
Why be so satisfied with just the crumbs of life when you can wear a crown, be a partner with the Lord? Why go stumbling on in your heart no song? You hear music all day long when you're partners with the Lord. Though your clothes may be old and ragged, and that coat may look tattered and torn, you have a new one a-comin' with a golden lining when you wake up some great morn. Why that deep despair? Why not just say a prayer? You'll find that somebody cares when you're a partner with the Lord. Why be so satisfied with just the bitter crumbs of life when someday you could wear a crown, be a partner with the Lord? Why go stumbling on in your heart no happy song? Why, friends, you'll hear music all day long when you're a partner with the Lord. Though your clothes may be old and ragged, and that coat may look tattered and torn, you have a new one a-comin' with a golden lining when you wake up some great morn. Why that deep despair? Why not just cry a prayer? You'll find that somebody cares when you're partnered with the Lord.
One time, folks, my dear old mother made a statement that is really true. She said, every man to his own task, and how right she was. Personally, I like to think of myself as a writer and a salesman. In writing these songs, I'm trying to sell you an idea. That is the idea of going to the church of your faith. And through selling you, well, I'd like to remind you that it's through your patronage of the people who make this program possible that you're able to help us keep the old bell in the belfry of the Cowboy Church ringing every day.
Now, here's the Brush Arbor Quartet. Turn to page 4 in your joy books, boys. They're going to do a little number for you folks entitled, There's a Lot More Laying Down Than There Is Up for Walking Around.
Say, Mr. Stewart.
Yeah, Brother Duncan.
Where in the world did you get an idea for a song with that kind of a title?
Strange but true, I wrote that on a fishing trip when I got the poison oak.
And where you got the poison oak, you must have written it laying down.
Woman isn't there anything sacred. Can't you keep a few things quiet? You know, besides, Brother Duncan, I didn't know that the stuff on the banks of that lake would set a man afire.
Well, you were afire, all right, from stem to stern.
Brother Duncan, I must have set down in acres of that stuff.
Set down, and you're sure you wasn't sunning yourself.
You say no twice to that one. You know, I could actually sue the doctor that told me to put that medicine on.
For what?
Well, he never told me to put it on in the backyard.
Why?
Well, he said be sure and give it plenty of air.
Well, it certainly got plenty of air after he rubbed it on. He circled the backyard 4 times before I could flag him down with a dish towel. But you came out with a title for a song. Ooh, but what a title. There's a lot more laying down than there is up walking around.
Now, what kind of a title is that? What does it mean?
Well, you see, Brother Duncan, in the graves of the world, there's a lot more
What are
people...
you all time writing songs about when you die?
Well-
Like I said to Carol McNatt just the other day, of course, it's important to know where you're going when you die, and it's wonderful that the Lord has promised his own a safe landing.
Well,
but
yes,
what he hasn't promised is a calm voyage on this rough old sea of life.
That's
But many people don't understand that. They think when they take the Lord into their heart, they couldn't have any more trouble. A woman said to me just
I've
yesterday.
known people.
I don't see why you feel the way you do about the Lord. I don't see that he keeps you away from trouble, but I said, that's why I need him, to see me through the trouble. I need him here and now for living, not just for dying. Take
That's
this last
right.
week, for
Yes,
instance.
she's got a point.
What with you bringing poison oak home to Viva and her being in bed, set afire from head to toe, and Obie down with the flu, I've been taken off from room to room like a stage hand, flying low. And then when I tripped on that rug and cracked my nose on the corner of the table and had to have 4 stitches taken in it, well, it hasn't been my strength to see me through this week. It's been the Lord's strength. Just like I told her, he doesn't promise we won't have trouble. Believe me, we do have plenty, but so does everybody else.
Honey.
We don't have to carry ours alone. We have him to lean upon. I don't see how any woman gets along without the Lord. I need his strength to see me through my trouble and his wisdom to help me solve my problem.
She's got the bit in her teeth,
So if there
boy.
were heaven and hell, I'd still want to be a Christian today now in order to claim his promises like that wonderful verse in the Bible.
What did you say, Susie? I didn't hear the letter.
Here, let me talk to her. You have to scream. What is the verse, darling?
The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knoweth them that trust him. It's wonderful to know that he knows me personally.
Well, why didn't you say that in the first place? That is one of my favorite verses. Brothers, can we stand and hype this song?
There's a lot more laying down than there is up walking around. Some folks never go and take and laugh at folks who do. That's right. They tell you that they're living right, sailing the golden rule. But let me tell you something, son, you never pass the game. Better make it right with the Lord tonight. Don't gamble or hesitate. There's a lot more laying down than there is up walking around. There's a lot more folks to see than there is out again the street. For every day you live and breathe in the 100 years 60. There's a lot more laying down than there is up walking around. I know a man, a very fine man, who likes to make it known. Oh, yeah. He never drinks nor beats his wife, yet claims a heavenly home. But when they pass the plate around, he puts a nickel in. That nickel won't buy a home on high, but it makes the devil say amen. There's a lot more laying down. There's a lot more folks to sleep than there is out in the street. For every day you live and breathe, there's 100 years 60 feet. There's a lot more laying down than there is up walking around.
And now, friends, here comes the part on our program that I personally like best. You know, I love to hear women sing, especially when they're ironing. The next you're going to hear, though, aren't women's voices. They're little girls, the Bluebonnets, and they're going to sing you a song entitled Known Only to Him. All right, girls, let's go.
When my eyes behold His eyes, this heart of mine is filled with wonder. My poor mind cannot rest alone.
That number was written one night after I'd witnessed an atomic bomb going off. Did you ever see an atomic bomb explode? By sure accident one day I did. I was on a lion hunt over in Utah. You can get your maps out, and if you look, you'll see a place called Grass Valley Mountain. Right on top of that mountain was me. I was up there early one morning just as the sun came up. I was watching my dogs as they were scouting the brush looking for a lion scent, when suddenly, far across the Nevada desert, 80 miles away, I suddenly saw a bright, blinding flash. I didn't hear any noise, and I thought it must have been a comet striking the earth. I turned to this old cowboy that was with me, and we looked, and we could see a big dust cloud gathering, and I said, "You know, John, I just saw a comet strike the earth. Look, way over yonder. See that, John?" And then about 10 seconds later, that awful crash comes sweeping up the canyon. My old horse nearly jumped backwards through his bridle. And that night, as we sat around a campfire, I got to thinking about old Peter. Peter was one of the great apostles, and nearly 2,000 years ago, he didn't know a thing about hydrogen, nitrogen, or oxygen, but he wrote this in the Bible. "The day of the Lord shall come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with a fervent heat, and the earth and the works therein shall be burned up." I thought about it that night. And that's when I penned the words to that song, known only to him, and known only to him are the great hidden secrets. I'm not going to worry about the future. I'm not going to worry about anything. I'm going to blindly, if you want to put it that way, I'm going to blindly say, I know there is a God. And I know that God that cradled the universe in his mighty hands molded me in my day. The same great spirit that awakens a tiny little seed in the spring will reach down from some great beyond and awaken my spirit when this body of mine shall fall away. Some people say, well, God isn't always good to people. Yes, he is. Oh, yes, he is. He gives us burdens, that's true. But that night as I sat there by the campfire, I didn't have a pencil to write. And I took a leaded bullet, and using it for a pencil, I sharpened it and wrote that song, known only to him. Known only to my God is the day of my passing. Known only to God is the place called heaven. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about the burdens I must carry. I'm just thankful I'm his. In this world of fear and doubt, on my knees at times I ask my Lord these questions. Tell me, Lord, why did you give those you love heavy crosses that they must bear? And then on my knees, I hear the answer from heaven. He only gives crosses to those that are trustworthy. Oh, but the wonderful part of it is he gives us strength, more strength than just our share. Yes, it's true. Known only to him are the great hidden secrets this whole world is full. Yet through my faith in him I'll fear not the darkness or the shadows when suddenly inside that flame shall dim. Thank the Lord I know not what this old future holds. Ah, but the difference is I know who holds the future. It's a secret known only to him. And friends, that's too true. You know it?
I know not what the future holds, but I know who holds the future. And I'm not worried about it because it's a secret known only to him. By the way, if I came and knocked on your door and took up a lot of your time trying to sell your commodity, the chances are you wouldn't like me, would you? Well, we won't even disturb the dust on your radio if you'll just sit down for 60 seconds. Perhaps you expect the radio announcer to overestimate just a little in trying to sell your commodity over the radio, don't you? Well, I've got news for you. I wouldn't lie to you if I had to go back to punching cows for a living. And I'm going to throw you a great challenge right now. If you're in the market for a TV set, find me a better set than a month's TV at the same price, and I'll get off the air. Why would I come at you with a statement like that? Because you can't get the same high quality at the same low price in any other. The price isn't up with a dealer's profit because there's no dealers. When you buy a month's TV, you buy it direct from the factory office. It's no little concern you're dealing with either. It's the largest direct TV organization in the world. You will find that you'll save yourself many dollars and sometimes hundreds of dollars through getting your TV set from Munch. I wouldn't use the Bible to sell you a TV set. You know something? I'll use Munch TV to sell you the Bible. The Bible is the greatest spot remover in the world, and I wouldn't advertise Munch TV if I didn't know what I was talking about. So suggest to your friends that they try Munch TV, too. Call the factory right now for a free home demonstration within your home within the hour.
Oh, look what I found. And the ink isn't even dry on it yet. There's a new song to Stuart, and listen to this title. Where would you be in the morning if you had to die tonight? John, why don't you and Benny get the tuba and the organ and
wave that tuba in about the key of C.
Yeah, let's try. We can have sound effects and everything. Where would you be in the morning if you had to die tonight? If an angel stood at your front door, would you try to bolt it tight? Every man will hear his knock, 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 no place.
Wait a minute. Hold everything. Hold it. That knock gives me an idea. Friends, we're knocking off right here. That's about the end of the last rope. But thank you for listening. Thanks a million. You know something? Pocalota's a long way. And I gotta be there by in the morning. Good day to you, good luck, and may the good Lord bless you.
You've been listening to the Cowboy Church of the Air, transcribed featuring Columbia recording star Stuart Hamblin with Susie Hamblin, the Prairie Choir, the Brush Arbor Quartet, the Bluebonnets, and the music of Darrell Rice and his orchestra. All music on this program was written by Stuart Hamblin. He's gonna wash my tears away, then for 100 years I'll pray. I got so many million years that I can count.
Mars Incorporated, makers of America's most enjoyable candy bars, presents
Curtain time!
Makers of the big new Mars bar welcome you to Curtain Time. The summer season is nearly at its height, and tan faces and gaily colored clothes predominate in the crowded lobby. And here, as always, at an opening night, is the well-known man about town, your host, Patrick Allen.
Good evening.
Well, Mr. Allen, what's in store for us tonight?
Comedy and romance, Myron, and I might say summer romance. But there's the overture, so we'd better hurry inside the theater for tonight's production of Curtain Time.
Tickets, please. Thank you, sir. Seventh row center. Seats 7 and 8.
Thank you. Well, these are excellent seats. But before the lights are dimmed, let's glance at the program. Harry Elders, supported by the Curtain Time Players, is starred tonight in The Dishonest Ghost by Sidney Hoffman. Mr. Elders plays the part of Edward Stearns, and with Nanette Sargent on vacation, Loretta Poynton is featured as Judy Moran.
Curtain time!
There's the call for the first act of Dishonest Ghost. The scene is the interior of a Pullman car. The train hasn't left the station yet, and a middle-aged man stands beside one of the seats, talking to an attractive young lady who has just sat down.
Now, Judy, you must remember to be careful.
Oh, Daddy.
I mean it, my dear. You could fall over a cliff.
But, Daddy, I know every inch of those woods by heart.
Well, you have quite a responsibility. 3 girls handling 20 kids all by yourselves and miles away from civilization.
Will you stop worrying?
All right, my dear. I'll be up next weekend to see how you're getting along.
Oh, wonderful.
And in the meantime, I'll certainly miss you at the office, Judy.
Oh, darling, I'm sure the Moran McGuire Publishing Company can get along without one little old manuscript reader for a few weeks.
Well, I gotta get off now, dear.
Right.
It looks as though you've got the whole section to yourself.
Well, now, Daddy, please run into it.
Goodbye, dear. Be sure to write now.
Yes, goodbye.
Here are, sir, upper tea.
Thanks, Porter. Pardon me,
Oh, that's all right. Make yourself right at home.
Thanks.
For a while, it looks as though I'd have both the upper and lower to myself.
Well, I'm sorry, but will you excuse me if I'm not very sociable?
Well, of course.
I have some work to do.
Yes, I see. Are you a writer?
Mm-hmm.
What are you writing?
I beg your pardon?
I said, what are you writing?
Oh, a novel. Right now, I'm making some corrections.
Then it's finished?
No, I've got 236 pages so far. And... Oh, I suppose I should ask you.
Ask me what?
Well, sometimes I type at pretty odd times, and if I decide to do some writing tonight,
You mean you can type in an upper berth?
Sure, why not?
Why not? You must be a contortionist.
No, I'm not. It's simple. You just put the typewriter on your lap and, type.
Well...
Thanks, I'm sure you wouldn't mind.
Oh, good heavens, he wasn't kidding. Well, if he's going to keep this up, I may as well pull the curtains back. Hey, what's this? Well, what do you know? Shakespeare dropped a page of his book. And I'll bet a cookie he doesn't know it. Let's see. Hurled into this maelstrom of doubt and bewilderment, Lucinda wonders why she keeps on living. Questions once again the fundamental truths. Lucinda. Golly. Daddy'd never buy a novel with a heroine named Lucinda. But it's not bad. Oh, well, as long as I can't sleep anyway, I may as well get back to work. Now, where the dickens did I put that pencil?
Oh, but, Porter, you must have seen it.
I saw it, sir. I went through the corridor first thing this morning. There wasn't a scrap of paper on the floor.
Just the same, it was...
You better hurry up, sir. The train's almost ready to pull out.
But I've got to find that page.
You better get off quick, sir. We've been standing here in this station 2 minutes longer than we're supposed to.
Oh, all right. Oh, you gods, what a way to start a vacation. Losing page 237.
Good morning.
Oh, hello.
I think I have something that belongs to you. Isn't this yours?
Why, it's page 237. How did you get it?
Well, I guess it dropped out of your berth last night. I picked it up off the floor.
But it's all marked up.
I know. You see, I was going to give it back to you before I got off the train, but I found out that you were getting off here, too, and, well, I thought that we'd have more of a chance to talk about it if I just...
Of all the unmitigated nerve.
I thought you'd appreciate it.
Look, whom do you think you are, anyway, making corrections in my novel when I haven't even let my agent look at it?
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't know it was sacred. Most writers would appreciate what I did.
Well, I don't.
So I see.
The idea of anybody just picking up a guy's manuscript.
Well, now, Molly.
Oh, Judy, am I glad to see you.
Oh, gee, Molly, I just can't believe I finally got
Come
you.
on, honey, let's get going. Lorraine has her hands full with the kids this morning.
Okay.
Say, Judy, who was the man with the typewriter who just walked away from here a minute ago?
All I know is that he's a very sensitive young author.
An author?
Yes.
Gee, I'll bet he's Edward Stearns, the man who's rented the Wilbur's cottage.
Oh? Well, I wonder how he expects to get to it.
Hey, look, Judy, he's coming back.
He probably wants to bawl me out again.
Bawl you out? Why?
Shh, I'll tell you later.
Pardon me, but is there a bus from here to Bird Lake?
Are you kidding? You're in the North Woods.
Well, perhaps you can tell me how to get to the Wilbur's cottage.
Oh, sure. It's a good 4-mile hike up the road.
4 miles? Oh, good grief.
Look, why don't you hop in the station wagon?
Well,
We're only half a mile from your cottage. We'll drop you off.
You're only half a mile from me?
Yes.
But I didn't know there was anyone else up here.
There isn't. Just you and our girls' camp.
Girls' camp? Oh, brother, when does the next train leave?
Anybody home?
Yes, what is it?
It's Miss Moran, Mr. Stearns. I thought you might like some of the cookies I baked this morning.
Leave them on the porch.
But the dog might get them.
Oh, all right, I'll come get them.
Hello.
Look, it's very nice of you, Miss Moran, but how in heaven's name do you expect me to get any work done if you come calling every day?
How's the novel coming along?
Should have been finished by now.
Oh? Well, I'd love to read it.
I'm sorry, but I don't let anyone see my unfinished work.
Oh, you shouldn't be ashamed of it, Mr. Stearns. The page I read was excellent, except
I'm
for...
not ashamed of it. Just happen to believe that it's bad luck to let other people read what I've written before it's finished.
Then you'll let me read it when it is finished?
I didn't say that. Besides, the minute I'm through, it goes to my agent. After that, it's up to him who sees it.
Oh.
And now, if you'll excuse me...
Oh, sure. Well, I have to get back to camp now myself. Goodbye, and I hope you enjoy the cookies.
The cookies? Oh, yes, the cookies. Thanks. Dear God's cookies. What'll she think up next to bother me with?
Mr. Stearns! Mr. Stearns! Mr. Stearns!
Hey, what's the idea?
It's Molly Adams. Mr. Stearns, I'm sorry if I woke you up.
Oh, good grief. What time is it?
It's after midnight, and Mr. Stearns, I'm simply frantic. Judy and the 4 little girls haven't come home yet.
That's too bad.
They left right after dinner. I wasn't there at the time, and no one seems to know where they went.
Uh-huh.
It's so late, and I don't know what to do.
I recommend you go back to bed.
But they may be lost up there on the mountain.
You don't say.
Yes. I telephoned Bill Yates,
Who's he?
the forest ranger, but he's 30 miles away, and it'll take him hours to get here.
Look, what are you getting at?
Won't you please try to find her?
Me?
Yes.
Miss Adams, I came up here to finish my book, but your Miss Moran has hounded me every day since I arrived.
But, Mr.
And
Stearns...
now you come here in the middle of the night and want me to go out in the woods and look for her. Well, she can stay lost for all I care.
Mr. Stearns, you don't know what you're saying.
Don't I?
I can't leave the camp, and... Oh, gosh, if Judy isn't back here by the time her father arrives tomorrow morning...
Then he can look for her when he gets here.
But if anything happens to Judy, and if he finds out, there won't be any camp.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that her father practically supports the camp.
Uh-oh, I might have known it.
Well, he doesn't like people to know it, but John K. Moran is one of the most generous men that
Did
ever...
you say John K. Moran?
Yes,
Is he John K. Moran, the publisher?
that's right, and if he ever...
Gods, and I almost turned down a chance to rescue his daughter.
Then you...
Will I? Which way did she go? Where's my flashlight? Where's the...
Well, don't you think you'd better...
I'd better what?
Well, you're hardly dressed to go searching for...
I'm hardly dressed, period.
The curtain falls on the first act of tonight's Curtain Play, starring Harry Elders and featuring Loretta Poynton. And now, Myron Wallace.
Summer days are recreation days, days when we like to be lazy and enjoy ourselves. And these summer days, one way that you can always be sure of real relaxation and enjoyment, at work, at home, anytime, anywhere, is by treating yourself to the delightful taste of the big new 10-cent Mars bar. In each bite of this luscious new candy bar, you'll enjoy the rare flavor combination of an extra thick, pure milk chocolate coating heaped high and packed with crunchy, fresh, whole toasted almonds, all over a soft, snow-white nougat center that is creamy, rich, and smooth. Together, the milk chocolate, crisp almonds, and soft nougat make every bite of the big new Mars bar a taste of candy at its finest. For the finest quality candy bar of them all, just try a Mars bar.
the call for the second act of The Dishonest Ghost, brought to you by the makers of the big new Mars Bar. Edward Stearns, who has gone north to the Northwoods in order to finish a novel, has been pestered ever since he's been there by Judy Moran, the publisher's daughter. Well, to top things off, Judy, a counselor at a nearby girls' camp, has got lost, and Edward is out trying to find her. Well, it's now the next morning. Molly, Judy's friend, talks to Mr. Moran.
Why, I just didn't want to tell you before, Mr. Moran, but I'm...
Come, Molly, out with it. Where's Judy?
She's lost.
Lost?
Yeah.
In these woods? That's a joke. She knows him better than the forest ranger.
Well, but she didn't come back to camp last night, Mr. Moran.
She didn't?
No, she and the 4 oldest girls, they've disappeared.
Oh, I can't believe it. Judy lost?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Who's lost? Hello, Daddy.
Oh, Judy. Oh, Judy, where have you been?
Young lady, what do you mean worrying the whole camp this way?
But I told Molly yesterday morning that last night was our special overnight camping trip.
But you said it was tonight.
I'm terribly sorry, Molly, but I said last night.
Well, no harm done, I guess, except for a sleepless night and some gray hairs for Molly.
Yeah, well, I guess I can live through that, but... Well, gee, I was so frantic I even telephoned the forest ranger. He should be here soon.
You mean poor old Bill Yates is traveling all that distance for nothing? And we've been practically within shouting distance of each other.
Yes, and I forgot. Mr. Stearns is out looking for you, too.
Edward Stearns went out to look for me?
Yeah, poor guy. I woke him up in the middle of the night, and he hurried right out.
Well, Judy, it looks as if you made another conquest.
Oh, Molly, you shouldn't have let him go. He doesn't know the woods at all.
Oh, but if he wanted
yes,
to...
He did seem quite anxious.
Hello.
Well, look who's here. Bill Yates. Bill, it's good to see you.
Well, it's nice seeing you again, Mr. Moran. And Judy, I thought they said you were lost.
Oh, no, Bill, it's Mr. Stearns. He went out to look for me in the middle of the night, and he hasn't come back yet.
Well, it's sort of hard to get lost up on Bird Mountain. The trails are all marked real clear. Did them myself.
Oh, but he doesn't know anything about trail markings, and he's been up there alone all night.
Then I guess I better go after him.
Well, I'll go with you. I'll be ready in a minute.
What do you mean you'll be ready? Where do you think you're going?
Father, Edward's lost up on that mountain. He may be hurt, and all because he... Well, I've just got to help find him. Bill, we've been up here for hours and not a sign of him.
Yeah, it sure is funny where he could have disappeared to.
Oh, I really can't believe he ever got this far.
Well, the only thing for us to do is split up for a while.
All right, you keep this side of the trail, and I'll take the other.
Okay, but don't go beyond the sound of my voice. I don't want you to get lost.
Oh, I'll be careful, Bill. Here's hoping.
Well, I guess I'll try the ridge up yonder. Get a better view of the situation. Judy? Can you hear me, Judy? I'm over this way. It looks like somebody's been here. It looks like somebody's been here. All these fresh branches broken. Hey, there's someone sitting up there on the ridge. Say, you up there. Are you Stearns, the fellow from Bird Lake who got lost?
I'm Stearns. I sprained my ankle. But it's Judy Moran who's lost.
There's nobody lost around here except you, brother.
What do you mean? Did they find Judy?
Judy wasn't lost.
What?
She took 4 of the girls on an overnight camping trip. They were just a little ways up the trail.
You mean that I've been out here all night wandering around on a wild goose chase and shouting myself hoarse for nothing?
Now, easy, fella.
Going without breakfast, spraining my ankle?
Well...
Making a fool of myself, all for the sake of a dumb bunny publisher who might be grateful enough to publish my book?
Well, I'm terribly sorry you went to all this trouble just for me.
Oh, good heavens. What are you doing here?
I'm beginning to wonder.
You come up here to look for me, too?
No, I just came along for the walk.
That's the last straw. It isn't bad enough that I have to sprain my ankle. They have to send a meddlesome, wisecracking female out after me.
Why?
Honestly, why don't you get lost?
Easy does it now, fella.
Oh, but I must be darn near pulling your neck off.
Don't worry about me. Besides, we're past the worst part, aren't we, Judy?
I suppose.
How much further do we have to go? My foot can't take much more of this.
Well, we're almost there. When we get around the next turn, we should be able to see the cabin. Right, Judy?
Now, to tell the truth, I'm a stranger here myself.
Oh, for crying out loud. Don't stay mad. I'm sorry.
You said that before.
Well, what do you want me to do? Dedicate a book to you?
Not if it's that book you've been writing.
What do you mean, not if it's that book? You don't have to be nasty. You haven't even read it.
And I don't think I care to. Now.
Hey, I think I see the cabin.
Hey, you're right. I can see the sun on the window panes.
Oh, there's someone out in the yard, too.
Well, you've got better eyesight than I've got, Judy.
See, it does look as though someone's down there.
Well, I think it's Daddy.
What's he doing? He keeps going into the cabin and coming out.
Say, that doesn't look like sun on the window panes to me.
No, it doesn't. And there are other people there, too.
Oh, that's funny. I wonder what... Good heavens, my cabin's on fire.
Edward, you can't.
But I've got to get my cabin.
Edward, be careful of your ankle.
Wow, look at him go. Never saw a fellow run with a sprained ankle like that.
Oh, Bill, what a terrible thing to happen. And it's all my fault.
It is not, Judy, and stop fretting about him. From what I've seen of him, he's not worth worrying about.
Oh, but he is, Bill. He is.
Young man, of all the stupid, harebrained young idiots, you take the prize. Running off to the mountain there and leaving a fire burning in the fireplace. Why, you could...
Tell me. Did you save it?
Save what?
He means his book, Daddy.
We didn't save anything. All we could do was...
Get out of my way. I've got to go in there.
Now, hold on.
Edward, you can't go in there. It's nothing but smoldering wood.
Yes, Molly and the rest of us got the fire out. If we hadn't, the whole force would be inflamed by now. But as far as trying to save any book...
That's just swell. My novel, it's just a bunch of ashes.
The third act of tonight's Curtain Time play, starring Hattie Elders and featuring Loretta Poynton, here is Myron Wallace.
For as long as there have been hot summer days, people have searched for new and different ways to cool off and enjoy themselves. And now candy lovers have discovered the luscious new summer treat of a chilled Mars bar. With each bite of a Mars bar that has been chilled in your refrigerator, your teeth sink through a crisp, cold milk chocolate coating that is heaped extra high and packed with crunchy, fresh, whole toasted almonds, all over a cool, snow-white nougat center that is creamy, rich, and smooth. Here is truly one of the greatest of candy triumphs, for the finest quality candy bar of them all. Just try a Mars bar.
There's the call for the third act of Dishonest Ghost, brought to you by the makers of the big new Mars bar. Edward Stearns was awakened in the middle of the night because Judy Moran was supposed to be lost. But the next morning, Judy wasn't lost at all, and Edward was. But Judy and the forest ranger found Edward. When the trio returned to Edward's cabin, they discovered it had burned down, and Edward's novel had been burned up with it. Well, it's now a week later. Edward, whose ankle was sprained, is at the girls' camp, and Judy is taking care of him.
Thanks, Judy. You're a good nurse.
Oh, bandaging a sprained ankle doesn't make me a good nurse. If I were really good, you'd be pounding away at the typewriter, rewriting your novel.
Please. We've been over that so many times. I can't rewrite it.
Not even on the pretty typewriter I lent you?
You just don't understand.
Well, explain it to me again.
Judy, would you mind leaving me alone?
Well, now...
You and Molly have been swell, but I just can't talk about my book.
Well, I can.
Please,
Edward Stearns, you're no more a writer than the man in the moon. What? Do you think that a real honest-to-goodness author could be stymied by a mere accident?
A mere accident? 2 years' work gone in one day?
All right, feel sorry for yourself. You've been sitting here for 1 solid week staring into space and telling yourself how much you're suffering.
That's a nasty crack.
You're wallowing in misery because the great American novel got burned up.
Listen, you. I've never struck a woman in my life.
And now with a chance to rewrite it, to improve it, to correct all the things you didn't like about it...
Will you please get out?
Well, what do? You sit here mourning over your deathless prose.
I told you.
What's the matter? Isn't there any more where that came from?
Chapter 1, all finished.
Edward, won't you let me read it? I promise I won't tell a soul.
Oh, gee, Judy, I hate to turn you down. You've been so... That is, you and Molly have been so swell.
Pretty please?
Oh, well, I don't suppose it matters if you do read it.
Then you will let me?
Here, take my carbon copy and I...
Yes?
Well, I don't know exactly why, but I hope you like it.
You do? Well, I think I will. Edward, on page 12, don't you think it'd be more logical if Lucinda... Oh, Edward, won't you please change her name?
No, I won't. Lucinda's real. That name belongs to her just as much as, well, just as Judy belongs to you.
All right, if you won't, you won't. But what do you think of my other suggestion?
Well, it hadn't occurred to me, but the way you explain it, yes, it does sound better.
Well, then why don't you change it right now?
That's a good idea. Here, give it to me. Judy, what do you think of Chapter 3? I followed your idea.
Just a minute, I'm not through yet.
Okay. But say, did you bring back my carbons of the first 2 chapters?
What?
The first 2 chapters. Did you remember to bring my carbon copies back with you?
No, I wanted to read them again.
Well,
Edward, I can't finish reading this here. I haven't time, but, well, let me take it back to camp with me.
Okay. You can have the carbon copy.
Swell.
For God's sakes, don't lose it.
So far, it's positively wonderful.
Gee, I'm awfully glad you like it, Judy.
Oh, I really do. But, well, I didn't mean to interrupt your work. I just dropped in to say goodbye.
Goodbye? What do you mean, goodbye?
Well, just that my vacation is over.
It is?
Mm-hmm. Daddy's driving up to take me home tonight.
But it seems... vacations always seem so short, don't they?
Yes, especially this one. It's been so wonderful.
I think so, too.
Do you, Edward?
Judy, I'm so grateful to you for everything.
Don't mention it.
By the way, you still have the carbon copies of those first 4 chapters.
Yes,
why don't I walk back with you and pick them up?
Oh, no, I wouldn't think of having you interrupt your work.
It'll take only a few minutes.
No, I'll send someone back with them tonight before we leave. I promise I will.
Come in. What? Oh, Mr. Moran. Come in. Sit down.
Certainly will, my boy. But I haven't got much time, so let's get right down to business.
Business?
Yes, and now let's see where I put those darned option papers.
Option papers?
Of course. Stern, you don't sound much brighter than I thought you were. If I didn't know that you had written this,
Written? If you hadn't known...
Yes, here they are. Now, stop muttering for a minute and sign here.
Sign?
Yes, all 4 copies.
All 4?
Come, I haven't much time. Stern, don't tell me you've offered it to someone else.
Mr. Moran, I don't quite know what...
Your novel, Stearns, your novel. Good heavens, what in the world do you think I've been talking about?
But my novel's not finished
I
yet.
know that, my boy.
You want to buy it now?
Of course. You don't think publishers always wait for a book to be finished before they buy it, do you?
Well, no.
And Stearns, that was a terrific trick.
Trick? What do you mean?
Why, mailing me a chapter at a time.
I mailed you a chapter at a time?
Yes, indeed. Terrific trick. Kept me in suspense, just like reading Terry and the Pirates.
Well, gee,
Yes, you've done a brilliant job of rewriting.
Well, thanks, but...
Funny thing, too. I told Judy you didn't have it in you, but, well, I guess our first meeting was a little unfortunate.
Look, let me get this straight.
Why, Judy.
I think this is where I come in.
Judy,
Edward, I owe you an apology, I think.
Look, will somebody please tell me what this is all about?
Well, I will if you'll just listen to me. I've been trying to tell you that I've been terribly dishonest with you.
Dishonest?
My dear, I'd hardly call it...
When you wouldn't let me read the first draft of your novel, Edward, I borrowed the carbon copy.
Of all the crust.
Young man,
there
what's your
were
language?
Lots of things wrong with it. Lots of things
Go
wrong
on.
But I sent it on to Daddy anyway.
Yes, and
I knew you wouldn't miss it because you thought it'd been all burned up.
And all the time you had a copy. Why, I couldn't...
No.
But that's not all.
If you ask me, it's plenty.
I also sent Daddy suggestions I had for rewriting.
Oh, you did? Yes, she did. And I wrote back that if the revisions were made successfully, I might be interested.
Oh, honestly,
Edward, if you'll
you had the colossal gall to take it upon yourself to show me how to rewrite my novel. Are you sure you didn't also start the fire?
Stearns, you're accusing my daughter of arson.
Oh, what a sap I was. Here you couldn't return my carbon copies because you've been mailing them to him.
Young man, were you planning to sell your book, or did you just want to frame it and hang it on the wall?
Why,
Daddy's right. Are you going to give him an option on your book, or aren't you?
Well, gee, an option?
Well, now he's waking up.
Oh, good grief. What's the matter with me?
I don't know, but I hope it's not catching.
Oh, gosh, Judy, if it hadn't been for you,
Then you're not mad at me anymore?
Mad? Oh, I should say that.
I'm a busy man, Stearns, and I've got a long trip ahead of me. Are you going to sign this or not?
Judy, can you ever forgive me?
I can. If you can forgive me for presuming to be your ghostwriter.
Oh, you're the most charming ghostwriter that ever lived.
Now, if I may bust in on this Mutual Admiration Society.
Oh, sure, Mr. Moran.
Yes, here's my fountain pen.
Thanks.
You sign right there.
I will, if my hand doesn't shake too much.
Son, there's just one thing wrong with your book so far.
Oh? What's that?
The name of the leading character. You've just got to change that girl's name.
Well, I've been considering that.
You have?
Yes.
Good.
But I can't do it without asking Judy first.
Well?
How about it, leading character? Should we change your name?
You mean my last name?
I do.
Well, Mr. Author, seeing you put it that way, it's a deal.
Tonight's Curtain Time starred Harry Elders and featured Loretta Boynton. The supporting players were Geraldine Kay, Michael Romano, and George Caesar. The Curtain Time music is arranged and conducted by Bert Farber, and the entire production is directed by Harry Holcomb. Next Saturday, Curtain Time will present a comedy romance entitled The Story of Pat and Mike. And now I'll join this gay theater crowd as it leaves the merchandise mart. Many on their way to the glamorous after-theater spots here in Chicago. Until next week, then, this is Patrick Allen reminding you of your date every Saturday, same time, same station, when the makers of the big new Mars Bar present
Curtain Time!
Monday night, be sure to hear Dr. I.Q., the mental banker, and next Saturday, be with us once again for Curtain Time. Remember, for the finest quality candy bar of them all, just try a Mars bar.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.